This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
Okay, are we on? Good evening, everyone.
We are on. If you can give me a minute, I can read through the obligatory preliminary.
Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Alan Fredrickson, and I am the Land Use Administrator for the Town of North Haven. As indicated in the agenda for tonight's meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission, the meeting is being held via video conference and conference call, and there is no in-person public access to the meeting. A video conference link and dial-in conference call number was provided for the commission members and interested members of the public to participate in the meeting. For members of the public who are listening, I would ask that you mute your phones if you are able so that we do not get any background noise. I have some important reminders. First, every time you speak, you must state your name for the record, except when the roll of the commission is being called. Second, we must be careful not to speak over one another so that everyone who's listening can hear what is being said and we have a clear record. For this reason, when it comes time for the commission to comment or to ask any questions of any of the presenters and also for the commission to vote, I believe the secretary, Teresa Ranciata-Vili, will call the roll of the commission. Also, when it comes time for members of the public to comment, again, you must state your name and please spell your last name so it is properly recorded, and also provide your address. This meeting is being recorded and a recording will be posted on the town's website. So perhaps Teresa can now call the roll and we can formalize our attendance.
Okay, Vern Carlson.
Here.
Richard Wilson.
Here.
James Giletti.
Here.
Brian Cummings.
Here.
Joseph Solomini.
Here.
Rod Williams.
Here.
Paul Wyman.
Here.
All right, and Teresa Ranciata-Vili present.
Okay, Teresa, that's the total roll. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for the month of May 3rd, 2021. It is 7 p.m. and we're starting the meeting as of now. My name is Vern Carlson and I am the chairman of the meeting. Teresa will be calling the roll of the meeting as we proceed. At this point, let me just introduce our town staff, which is Alan Fredrickson, our land use administrator. Andy Bellavacqua is town engineer.
Hey, whoever's talking, let's mute your phones now, please.
Pam Miller is our staff secretary. Jennifer Capola will be joining us. Our town council will be joining us later. She's running a little bit late. At this point, can I please have we did call the roll. Okay, is there been any changes to the agenda, Alan?
Yes, there is. Item number 3 under site plans regarding 97 Defco Park Road will not be heard tonight.
Okay, very good. That's off. And so if there's anybody here for 97 Defco Park, they will not be here tonight. In view of that, how this system, how the commission works is that we will call in the call of the meeting. The applicant will have an opportunity to present the application to the commission. The commission will satisfy any of their questions, and then we will open it to the public on a public hearing, on the public hearings. Of course, on the site plans, there is no public input, and I'll go directly to the commission. With that being said, Teresa, would you read the call of the P21-13-824?
Okay,
Yes.
Vern, this is Jim Giletti. Just before you get started, I'm going to recuse myself on that. I had some involvement with that property, and I just should not participate.
Okay, very good. Alan, who would we have stepping in for Jim for the moment?
I believe we would have Paul Weinman stepping in.
Okay. Paul? Paul?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're
Okay.
sitting on this, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Teresa?
Okay. Application number P21-13, 824 referral. Application of the town of North Haven for the sale of a 3.213 square foot, which is 0.07 acre parcel located at the end of Selleck Street. Is there somebody here to present?
Yes, that would be me, Andy Bevilacqua, town engineer.
Okay, Andy, go ahead.
Okay, so in your packets, and I will share my screen so we can throw it up there. There we go. Hopefully you can all see that. So this is the map that was prepared. And essentially this is just a small parcel, or it's basically the end of Slot Street. And as you can see, the owner of the surrounding property owns property basically on both sides of the road in this area. The road is basically a dead-end road. It's sort of in an industrial area. I'll also show you, this is the town GIS. So you can see the bigger parcel here. And you can see how the road is kind of clipped out of the parcel. So essentially the owner wants to purchase just a small piece, just basically from this property line point straight over, just this little end piece of the parcel. It'll make the parcel have better access and also more development opportunities. That little section of road is not impacting anyone else except this property owner. And in my opinion, it just makes sense to sell it.
Okay, Andy, thank you very much.
I've got one more thing to share real quick, which is this is just Google Street View looking down the end of the road. You can see the stop sign at the end. So you can see there's really not much going on down that way. So
No, we can't see it, Andy.
Oh, you can't see that.
We're still seeing the plan.
Yeah.
You can see the plan very clearly there. I mean, this property is being used for nothing at the moment, is it, Andy?
How about now? Can you see it now?
Now we got
Yes.
it.
Okay, there you go. All right, so there you go. So it's just there's not much going on down here.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's being used for nothing at the moment. Is that correct?
So the area to be purchased is down where that stop sign is
Correct.
located.
Correct.
Andy?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is just a piece of property that's not being used by anyone at the moment. Is that correct?
Exactly. It's essentially just a town right-of-way at the very end of the road. So we're just going to clip off the last little section of it, and that'll become part of this parcel.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, is there anyone from the commission that has any questions in respect to this 824?
Vern, this is Brian Cummings. I do.
Yeah.
And for Andy, who's responsible for taking care of the end of the road once it becomes the owner's responsibility? Is the owners or the town?
Oh yeah, it would become his property and it would become his responsibility. Correct.
Thank you.
Is that it, Brian?
Hey, Vern.
Almost at Vern. Thank you.
Yes.
Vern, this is Rich Wilson.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
the town doesn't need that as a right of way anymore.
That is correct. And as you can see, if we were to project the line across the street here, I mean, it really is not affecting anyone. There's no cul-de-sac there to turn around. It's basically just the dead end of the road.
Okay.
Andy,
Thank you,
Andy, this is Teresa. So tell me how, I understand, I think, but for everybody looking at it, just show us the way they're going to access it now, how that helps the new owner access the property.
Okay, well, essentially what it does is by basically running the property line here, this piece would become part of his parcel, which allows him just better access all the way around, and also takes that piece out of as far as like setbacks and those types of things, which allows potentially a little bit more development to happen on the parcel. Parcel's also encumbered by, I believe, some wetlands as well. It's not a huge parcel from a development standpoint. And I think that little piece right there would help in a potential redevelopment scenario.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else would like to speak from the commission? Okay, hearing none. We get a Teresa?
Yes,
Teresa,
Vern. Yes.
you want to move to approve this?
No, Vern, can we just not vote until deliberations on anything?
We're going back to that? Okay. Then you want to do them all later on?
Yep, please.
Okay. Yeah, I don't mind.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Hearing nothing, we were just close this portion of this 824. Thank you very much. Teresa, I'm going to, this is a public hearing, P21-08. Jim, you are back joining us now? Jim Gilletti?
Yes, that's correct. I'm back in.
Okay, good. Paul, you're out?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right. Actually, I have public hearing P21-07.
That's all right. Didn't I say that?
Okay. Nope, they're good.
I thought you said 8.
Okay.
Subdivision application of KS Development LLC, applicant and owner for 4 lots relative to 120 Half Mile Road, map 24, lot 36. Plan entitled Land of KS Development LLC, Half Mile Road, North Haven, Connecticut. Prepared by Summerhill Civil Engineers and Land Surveyors, PC, dated 2/1/21. Scale 1 inch equals 50 feet. R40 zoning district.
Okay, Teresa, thank you. Is there someone here to represent this application?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Speak up.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Rosalind Page. I am a professional land surveyor from Winterbourne Land Services with an office at 604 Center Street in Wallingford. I am representing the applicant this evening. The civil engineer who would normally be doing the presentation, Michael Ott, is unfortunately having to attend another planning meeting at another town this evening right at the same time, so he's not able to do the presentation. So I was responsible for doing the surveying on the property, so I am fairly familiar with it. So I hope I will be able to explain the application to you in a complete way. So is it my understanding that I can show the plans on if I'm given permission to access?
Yes.
Yes, would you please do that?
Yes.
Do you have a site plan for us to look at, or?
Yes, I have that on. Can you see that now?
No.
No.
Okay. Hang on a minute. Oh, share screen. Sorry, I forgot. I have to press share screen.
Should be okay now.
Yeah. All right. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Great.
Almost.
All right. Can you see that now?
We can't see the plan yet.
No, not yet.
Yeah, you're showing the abutters right now.
Well,
actually, I just have her computer screen.
Yeah, it's just
all we have is
it's just your screen, Rosalind.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Hang on. Just give me a minute, please. Okay. Can you see that now?
No.
No.
I still see your computer.
Okay. That's strange because I have it up on the screen here.
Well,
Can you try double clicking again on it?
There you go.
Is that it?
There
Look
it
at
is.
my clarity. Yes, very good, Rosalind.
Oh, good. Give me a panic attack there for a minute. So, okay. All right. I wanted to try and make it so that you could, can you see the whole thing at the moment?
Well,
Almost.
now you're opening it up. Yep.
Okay. All right. Maybe I can make it a little smaller. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Sure.
All right. Thank you for bearing with me there. So,
That's all right.
so this is the property. It's a 9.77 acre piece of property located on the south side of Half Mile Road, which is located up here. If you can see where my mouse is going, or the arrow is going. So that's Half Mile Road along the top of the map there. This side, the east side, it's bounded by the town of East Haven. The town line is pretty much coincident with the boundary line there. And the parcel itself is sort of an L shape, comes down there, goes along here along the bottom, here and there, and back up. So that's the outline of the piece of property. There is an existing house on it, and that's located here, number 120. There are wetlands on the property, which are located here along the east side and along the south side. And because there are wetlands on the property, we did make an application for a subdivision referral to the Inland Wetlands Commission, and they did approve a positive subdivision referral at their meeting in March, on March 24th. So we have approval for them. There we have shown the 50-foot setback on the map, and there's no planned activity within the inland wetlands. So the property is located in an R40 zone. It is served, all the 4 lots will be served by individual wells and septic systems. Soil testing has been done under the supervision of Quinnipiac Valley Health District, and they have issued a letter of approval, which came in today. They are approving all 4 lots for the soil testing. So we do have that approval in hand. We are showing lot 1 will be about 47,000 square feet, and that's this lot here. Lot 2 has a drive access way through here, and this will be the larger lot in the back here, and that will be about 6 acres. Lot 3 is this sort of triangular shaped lot here. That is about 45,000 acres and 45,000 square feet, I'm sorry. And lot 4 will be 54,000 square feet, and that is located right in here. So all the septic systems that you can see depicted here on are for about a 3-bedroom house. The septic system on lot 1 is for a replacement septic system. There is already a septic system on this parcel, but by state regulation, we are required to show a proposed reserve area. We are showing a sightline easement in favor of the town of North Haven, and that's located here. And maybe I can make the drawing a little bigger right now to show you that detail. That's its hatched area in here. And that's a sightline easement to the town, proposed sightline easement to the town of North Haven to minimize any obstructions for sightline. We are also requesting a waiver of the sidewalk requirement as per section 4.8 of the subdivision regulations, but it's my understanding that we still show the proposed easement for sidewalk purposes, and that is located along just behind the street line in here. But we are requesting a waiver for sidewalks in this area. We are showing street trees in here, these circles in here, 3 in front of this lot, 1 just behind the sightline easement here, and a couple in this area in here where there are several trees in this area already. At this point, I don't know if there's any other questions. I think I prefer to turn it over to the commission and ask if you have any questions or concerns that either myself or the applicant can answer.
Yes, Rosalind. On the sight line, the sight line is, it looks like it's going to be back from the road quite a ways there. Is that all on town property, or is that partially on your property?
All of the sightline easement is on our property. So it's all on the private property, and it's in favor of the town of North Haven.
And has there been a way to keep that worked out, to keep that sightline clear and usable?
That's what the wording of the easement will be talking about, is keeping that. That is the purpose of the sightline easement, is to make sure that vegetation, fences, that sort of thing don't get put in that area. So the deeds for those 2 lots 3 and 4, will have that sightline easement as part of their language, and it will say that that area must be kept clear for visibility purposes.
Okay. What is the total acreage to this total parcel?
9.77 acres.
Piece of land. And you're adding 2 additional houses, or 3?
Three new lots. Lot 1 will go around the existing house.
Yeah.
And then there are two lots in the front and 1 lot in the rear. So a total of 4 lots. 3 of them are new. 1 is around the existing house.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And there is city water there?
No, this would be well and septic.
Water? Well water and septic, both?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Okay, I'm all set with that. Jim, if you have any questions? Or?
Yeah, I've got quite a few, actually. So, but let me start with Andy. Who worked out this sightline easement issue? Hey, Andy, was that you?
No, they developed it, and I reviewed it.
So, is the sightline required? Without it, is there not enough sightline? Because this looks like it's pretty curved. So it makes me really worried. And right next to the sightline easement, we've got a drawing that there's going to be a tree, which is going to branch right into the sightline, isn't it?
Yeah, that tree should probably be bumped back a bit.
Well, it can't be right there. If we need that sightline to make the road safe, you can't have a tree there. And let me ask the applicants. And I apologize. Are you an attorney, the engineer? I didn't pay attention. You said you want to waiver sidewalks. Why?
Basically due to the fact there are no other sidewalks in this area.
Yeah, that one doesn't work very well for me. And for my 2 cents, the sidewalk would help make sure that nothing is grown there. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm very concerned. This is a very curved area. I don't have any problem with, you're entitled to get the 3 lots, but I leave the sidewalk because it's one way to make sure something doesn't grow up next to the street. That's my only question. I'm concerned. Did we do somewhere? Do we have the measurements of how far you can see out of all these driveways? Are the sight lines in any of the plans?
No, we have not done sight line. Unless Andy knows something I don't.
Yeah, I just can't tell whether there's really going to be a problem coming out of these driveways. Because it looks like you're not going to be able to see very far. And based on what I'm seeing, on the very edge of all these properties, you've got trees. I don't see how anybody's going to see anybody coming down the road. So that's my concern and my comment. I don't know how we make a judgment. I don't know. Andy, you told me you have reviewed it, but I don't know what got reviewed. I don't see where, coming out of each one of these driveways, how far can you see? What's the speed limit of the cars? How much do we need? How did we make the calculations?
Okay, Jim, you good right there for the moment?
No, but that's all my questions for the moment.
Okay, well, yeah, I was just going to try to get Andy in there to answer some of those for you.
Yeah, I mean, Andy Bevilacqua again, town engineer.
Yeah.
I mean, I looked at the grading out there, and I was confident that if that easement area is kept clear of vegetation, that we would have proper site distances, particularly around that corner. So I wasn't terribly concerned with that. Obviously, tree locations is going to be important on that, but.
Okay, so what is the answer to Jim's question on putting sidewalks in there and holding them back a bit there, I suppose, and to help keep the sight line with that?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's certainly one way to ensure that area is going to be kept clear.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I think if there's concerns about the proposed street trees, we can certainly show that there's further back into the individual lot properties rather than being close to the edge of the property line. So we can move them back 10 feet or so with no issue.
Rosalind, this is Alan Fredrickson. I guess that the subdivision regulations require that they be 5 feet back from the property line. I can't really zoom in at the moment, but you think they are a little bit close right now anyway?
Well, right now they're situated right behind the sidewalk easement. So the sidewalk easement would be 5 feet wide or so because of the sidewalk. So the trees would, yes, be 5 or 6 or probably more, like 6 or 7 feet back. So, but if it's a concern, then we can dimension them to be put further back into the property. If that's
it just looks like they're it looks like they're a tad close from looking at this drawing, but we could pull them back. They should be pulled back at least 5 feet, but we could pull them back 10 if that.
But this is Jim Giletti. Alan, it's not the property line. It's got to come back at least whatever the right amount is from the sightline easement, not the edge of the property, from the sightline easement.
Oh, I understand completely. I'm just looking
out at the edge of the 5 feet from the property in the middle of the sightline, and it's touching the sightline, even if I'm seeing this correctly.
Yeah, the tree on
blocking the sightline.
Yeah, the tree on that middle lot.
That one
is an issue. The other one should come back, as I was indicating, but.
I think it's something that can be resolved. I'm concerned with, I've not seen a sightline easement in any of our prior applications that I remember. I'm concerned how that's going to be policed. You know, you put it in the deed, and then what happens when the people say they would like a bush there, you know? So it concerns me. But if our engineer is telling us that's okay, I want to do whatever we can to make sure that area is going to be clear so you can see around those corners. So, I mean, it looks, the road is pretty well bent. That's where I'm
coming. Jim, Andy Bevilacqua again. Windsor Road East was one as it comes out onto Homeland, where those two roads come together. There was actually a sightline easement on that development in particular that I remember. Unfortunately, as it turns out, on that particular development, they planted a tree right in the sightline easement. So we had to make them move it, but it was there. So,
well, but that's exactly my point. I don't want to start with that problem because we're counting on people to not do anything to their property after they get the property, which is not very effective.
Right, so, which was the case here on Windsor Road East. You know, after the property had been sold, they went to put a tree right in the right of way, and I went after them, and they moved it. So, you know.
So, but I wouldn't start with the
no, certainly
right next to or in the sightline easement now.
Right.
Now, Jim, the Patton Road application for Winding Brook also featured sightline easements, I think, in both directions.
I have to tell you, I don't remember either one of them, but I may just be getting old.
Yeah, well, it isn't that, but they were there. But let me ask you the one question, Andy. If the sidewalks, if there was sidewalks on that side of the road, would it increase the sight line and help the sight line, policing the sidewalk? It wouldn't be, if we put sidewalks there, would it be necessary to have the easement?
No, I think you still need the easement because I don't think the sidewalk is going to cover the entire area that you need for that sight line. But having the sidewalk there becomes an area that nobody can plant trees, nobody can let their bushes go out of control or their lawn go out of control. The sidewalk is going to prevent that.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking. So you have the easement, we'll bring it back that much further, and it'll be that much that you don't have to police if the sidewalks are there. Not that I'm saying they necessarily have to be there, but that's my thought at this point. Jim, back to you.
We can also tweak that a little bit with the because one of the conditions that I had was that detailed individual site plans be provided for each development as they come in for building permits, and that's a perfect opportunity for us to adjust those things, make sure those things are done right. Because you got to remember, in a subdivision, this is a possible layout of those lots. That's all it is.
Right.
So when the individual lots come in, we'll have an opportunity to review the detailed design of each individual lot.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. Also, well, I have some other questions here, but let's see if anybody else has any questions here. Are you all set for the moment, Jim?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, does anyone else on the commission have any questions?
Vern, this is Brian Cummings. I do.
Mm-hmm.
Rosalind, Brian Cummings here. The fire chief has made a comment, and you probably had it. It talks about a fire hydrant possibly because of the access of it going to be in excess of 800 feet away from one of the homes. And could you point out on the drawing where that fire hydrant might be going, if it was going to be going?
I have to apologize. I do not have that comment from the fire marshal, so I'm not aware of that. So my concern would be if there's no public water in this area, I don't know where the fire hydrant would be located. So
he had proposed it by the entrance to lot 2, but then he says something else here. Maybe Andy and Alan can help me out on this one. Alternatively, the builder may install commercial sprinklers, which are NFPA 130 compliant, and here's such design that will be acceptable to the North Haven Fire Commission. Now, let me ask you this: seeing as there's no water, you're depending on wells to run a sprinkler system in a house. How does that work?
So, Brian, I'm sorry. They have a storage tank or a reservoir, if you will, for the water that services the sprinkler system. So, yeah, they would put it at the entrance to lot 2, which is the rear lot, which is the long driveway lot.
Right around here.
Okay.
But again, I don't believe that's an option. And Rosalind indicated that they are not intending to bring in water, and they're not intending to extend the sewer. So the application has pursued the other option, and the fire chief indicated that he was satisfied with that.
That's the alternative option suggested by the fire chief of the sprinkler system.
Yes, and they've used that at several different locations in the past. They did it on Winding Brook for the 6 houses down there, and they've done it on Half Mile Road for at least one of the homes that was split on the other side of the road.
Okay, thank you, Alan. Thank you.
Well, wait a minute. This is Jim Giletti. Just following up on that, the applicant just told me she wasn't familiar with the fire chief's comment.
Right.
And you're telling me that they're agreeing to put in the residential sprinklers. I don't understand how those two things fit.
I spoke with Mike Ott, the engineer who Rosalind is speaking on behalf of tonight earlier, and I'm not sure if they covered that particular issue. But when the fire chief's comments came in, I spoke with the engineer Michael Ott about them, and he indicated that they spoke with the developer and that was the decision. No problem. They would just provide the residential sprinkler systems.
So if given approval here, we would do it as a condition that they keep the fire marshal happy, whatever that means.
Oh, yes, sure.
That's exactly correct, Jim.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Rosalind, were you aware of the sprinkler systems in these houses or not?
No, I'm sorry. I was not aware about the fire.
Well, that was it. It was either bring the hydrant down or to sprinkle the houses. And of course, you know that when they put that system in the house, they have a 1,000-gallon or a 1,200-gallon reserve tank in the house to work the suppression system. But that would be required in all houses in any event to satisfy the fire commissioner, the fire department.
Okay, thank you.
I believe that in any event. And also well, in any event, go ahead. Brian, do you have any other questions?
I'm good, Vern. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Vern.
Yes, by all means, go ahead.
This is Rich Wilson.
Yep.
So does each house have a reserve tank of that 1,000 gallons or 2,000 gallons? Or is there one tank for those four homes?
Each house, Rich. This is Alan Fredrickson.
Okay. All right. Hey, Alan. Alan?
Yes.
What keeps that tank from freezing? Is that exposed outdoors?
No.
Can I answer
My
this?
understanding it was underground.
Okay.
Can I answer this question? It's Kyle Samuel. I'm the developer, the builder.
Kyle,
Very
make
well.
sure you give your name and your address, Kyle.
Kyle Samuel, 237 Grebe Road, Wallingford.
Mm-hmm.
So basically when I spoke to the fire marshal, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
All right. I spoke to the fire marshal and he said that what would be required for these systems is A, either the fire hydrant, which we're not going to do, or B, we do the systems in each individual house. He said what would be required is either you have, the sprinklers need to be in specific places. And then because I install constant pressure well pumps, it's so the well will pump water until there's no water in the well at a set pressure. So you put the sprinklers in the specific spots and then it's plumbed into those, where the sprinkler heads need to go from the well. So if there was a fire, the well is what's pushing the water through to the sprinkler heads. So there is, in these systems, per him, I don't need the tank because I have a constant pressure system. If you don't have a constant pressure system, then you have a holding tank that's like 300 gallons that's in your basement, and there's a pump that goes from that to the sprinklers.
Well, I did not realize that, Kyle.
Yeah.
This is Vern Carlson. Kyle, I did not realize that. I thought it was a little different system than that. Is
So
that
Kyle, this is Teresa, Kyle. So to answer Rich's question, no worries about anything freezing or anything like that, right?
Correct. Because even if you do, everything's in the basement. So, if you have no heat forever, then it could freeze. But so would your plumbing at that point. So you got
Thank you.
no more issues than if you just had plumbing.
Yeah, but Kyle, I just want to be sure that I understand. There is no reserve tank in the basement. Is that correct?
So if you don't have a constant pressure well, like if you just have a regular well,
Mm-hmm.
a regular well will not pump out enough water to do the sprinkler systems. If you use a constant pressure well, it will pump out, if you set the PSI and it will pump out all the water in the entire well at that said pressure. So you can keep it to have enough pressure to power the sprinklers. So if you don't use a constant pressure, then you have to have the holding tank in the basement that if there's a fire, it goes from the tank.
Right. That was my understanding there over on Winding Brook Road there. They put the system in one or two of those houses at least.
Yeah.
And my understanding is they did have the tank in the basement.
Yeah, that's when I asked the fire marshal, because I asked him, because I spoke to a couple sprinkler installation companies. And I was talking to the fire marshal, and he said, no, if you're going to use, and he's the one that's telling me what I'm regurgitating to you. So I'm not an expert on fire sprinkler systems, but this is what he told me. My options were either put a tank in, or you can use the constant pressure well, which is a better well. It's a better system all around.
I think you're right. It certainly sounds it, but boy, I'll tell you, if that well doesn't recover quickly, you could pump that well dry.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna have 300 gallons of water in the well, depending on how far you're gonna go down. So you're gonna have more than if you just had the tank in your basement, anyways.
I understand exactly what you're saying. Yeah. But in any event, okay, so you're the developer. You're gonna build these houses yourself.
That is the plan. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Rich, do you have any questions or?
No, Vern. That's my only question right now.
Okay. Anyone else have questions?
No, Vern. Mine were answered about the driveway and the water.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Andy Bevel, Town Engineer again. The applicant has requested that we investigate potentially tying these houses in to the sewer system. There is a sort of an improvised pressure system in Half Mile Road down the road a little ways, which I don't have a lot of information on. And I guess the developer's interested in potentially not putting the septic systems, but tying to the sewer. Now, this is the plan we have in front of us, so this is the plan we would have to act on. But I've told the developer that that I'd be happy to work with his engineer to try to figure out if extending the sewers to this location is even an option. So I just want to throw that out there, make you aware that discussion is going on.
Well, if that is going on and it is an option that you think may happen, that would be good. That would be,
and it would have to go in front of the WPCA for approval and all, and we would have to do probably some field investigation to sort of figure out exactly what's going on out there, because I don't have as-built for that system that was extended previously. So,
So,
Andy, I'm sorry. This is Alan Frederickson, but the worst case scenario somewhat is the septic systems, correct?
That is correct, yes.
In the planning sense. So, and they're proposing the septic. So if they came back in down the road to put in the sewers, they would just have to deal with you and the WPCA.
That is correct. Yep.
So Alan, that was where I was going with this, is that the site plan would still be fine the way it is if we acted on this evening. And this would be, if they changed and put sewers in, it would just be Andy would handle it. Just totally.
That's correct. And any sewer that went in would most likely be a low pressure sewer. So each house would have to have its own pump, and they would pump to a common force main that would connect to the force main that already exists in Half Mile Road. So that's how it would be arranged.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's certainly interesting, but I mean, I have no objection to the site at all. But all of these things you're talking about, even the developer, with the pumps in the wells is interesting, for say the least, because that would be the best thing for this development. But in any event, anybody else have any questions from the staff, from the commission? Mm-hmm. Staff, any questions, Andy or Alan?
No, I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, sure. Okay, is there anyone on that would like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone like to speak in favor? Anyone?
Hold on a minute, Vern.
Okay.
I see someone trying to speak. I think you can unmute now, Mr. Tancredi. If you.
No, I have no questions at this time.
Okay, fair enough. Anyone else?
Is there anyone that I'm missing, Alan?
My name is Louis Dorado.
Okay.
I border the west side of the proposed development at
Hey,
90,
Mr. Dorado, can you just please give your address?
96 Half Mile Road in North Haven.
Thank you.
You border this property?
I do, okay? Right next to it, I have a 330-foot driveway that goes all the way in back where I believe Lot 2 is proposed. It's either Lot 2 or Lot 4. It's the one all the way in back.
Okay.
So my question is, how far from my property line is that house going to be?
Well, there'll be a certain percentage of the lot that they can build on, and where it will exactly go, I don't think anybody knows here tonight, not even a builder, but we can ask him after we're through with this.
Kyle, can you answer that question, please?
Could you hold on a second?
Hold on. But so, I mean, can I just ask, maybe Alan Fredrickson can give the actual setbacks where it would have to be located, right, Alan?
Yes, Teresa, this is Alan Fredrickson. Mr. Dorado, they would have a right to put a house or structure within 25 feet of that property line. The hypothetical location that I see on the plan is over 100 feet from the property line, but that side yard and rear yard setback is 25 feet. The front yard is 50, which you can see on the screen from the existing house's rear property line.
Okay, so the back of the house is going to be approximately 100 feet from my property line.
Well, what I see on the proposed plan is a hypothetical house located about 100 feet from your property line. It looks like it would be the side of that proposed house.
Okay. Okay. So the side that is pointing to my driveway would be the west side of the house?
Yes.
Okay. I'm very good with everything that he wants to do. Thank you for your listening to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, is Alan, you see anybody else want to speak?
I think Mr. Tancredi and Mr. Dorado were the only two that I was really thinking pertained to this application. I'm just scanning back through right now.
Well, I just want to get to the opposition before we get to,
Can we stop the screen share, please?
We can. Rosalind can probably take that. Oh, there you go. All right.
Okay.
So I don't.
Is there anybody?
I don't see anyone else. So it seems as though you could proceed, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Is there anyone here like to speak in opposition to this? Anyone like to speak in opposition to this application? Any comments or anything? Okay, hearing none. Staff, you're through. Commission, you're all set?
Yes, Vern.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
This public hearing is closed. Okay. Teresa, I want to go down to number 4.
We're on to site plans. So number 4, number P21-09, site plan application of 12% LLC, applicant 450 Saca Point Associates LLC owner, relative to 341 State Street, map 35, lot 25. Plan entitled Proposed Patio, 341 State Street, North Haven, Connecticut. Prepared by Godfrey Hoffman Hodge LLC. Dated 3/23/21, scale 1 inch equals 20 feet, IL 30 zoning district.
Thank you, Teresa. Is there someone here to speak in respect to this application?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman. This is Jim Rotundo, licensed professional engineer with Godfrey Hoffman Hodge, 26 Broadway in North Haven. Also with me tonight is Alex Blank, of the owner of 12% and also the applicant for this application. The applicant is proposing a permanent patio. They have been operating over the past year or so under the governor's executive order for the temporary patio, and they'd like to finalize and make that a permanent situation. If I could share my screen, I could put up the site plan. Bear with me, Mr. Chairman, trying to get this up there.
Okay.
Can you see the site plan?
Yes, we can. See that. Yes.
Okay, very good. You're familiar with the facility. 12% is located. The address is 341 State Street. State Street is located to the west on your drawing. There's a right-of-way driveway which goes to the back into the building area. UPS is located to the south. Sackett Point Road is to the south. And 12% is within that building area. The entrance into 12% is located on the northerly side of the building. They are looking to build a patio, enclosed patio, make it permanent for outdoor eating and drinking of the beer there, basically. The dimensions of the patio are approximately 37 feet by 79 feet. There will be currently, well, prior to the temporary patio, there were some parking spaces there, which will be displaced. We are proposing to create several parking spaces along the back property line, as well as along the building, so we will still meet the requirements of the parking. Based on the uses in the building, there are 121 spaces required. We are providing 129 spaces. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Alex Blank, who is the owner, who could speak to the purpose of this proposal. Alex?
Yeah, thank you, commissioners, for taking the time. My name is Alex Blank. I'm one of the owners of 12% on 341 State Street. We're applying for formal approval for a patio that's been there. It's a temporary patio that we're doing as allowed by the governor's executive order. We did it for safety reasons. Our tap room inside has not been open since the pandemic started. It was a lifeline during this period, but it's also been very well received. And so we're hoping to continue with that, and we're formally applying now. We've had no issues. There's been no parking issues. There's been no noise complaints. And so in anticipation of the executive order ending at some point, I originally started this, I thought it would end sometime over the summer, but now I'm not so sure that's going to happen. But regardless, in anticipation, we're trying to get ahead of things. So we're applying now. So hopefully it'll get approved.
Mr. Chairman, again, this is Jim Rotundo. We did receive comment letters from staff. We've reviewed the recommended conditions of approval, and we have no problem with any of those. Many of these landscaped islands and the plantings were part of the previous site plan approval, just didn't show up on this site plan. So we could take care of those conditions of approval, as well as your town engineer's comments regarding protection of the patio area with bollards or other traffic type protection. With that, we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, it does, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Let me just ask you, how big is the area that you're using now outside?
I couldn't tell you the exact square footage, but it's larger than what you see here.
So it's larger than what you're presenting to us now?
Correct, considerably. And that has as much to do with spacing out the tables. I want to say it's probably about 1.5 times as deep as you see it here. And that's, spacing out tables, and that hasn't been an issue at all. But we're proposing less because we don't think we're going to need as much after the pandemic subsides.
Mm-hmm. So this has been well received, and that's why you're going for this. So you want to keep the outside drinking of the beverage and whatever else you do there.
That's right. Yeah.
This has an enclosure, top enclosure?
It does not have a top enclosure. It has tables with umbrellas.
Okay, so just the umbrella. There's going to be no tent over or anything?
There's no plan for that right now, no.
Yeah, very good. Okay. Commission?
Vern, this is Brian Cummings. I do have some questions.
Okay.
And I guess this goes probably to Andy's comment about providing specific details on the bollards for the traffic protection measures. Are bollards enough, or Jersey barriers something that may be considered? Because I didn't see any real defined traffic flow around this area, and there are 3 ways to get into come down to 2 ways to get into the back there. But what kind of weight do you need to possibly stop a car from coming in?
This is Jim Rotema speaking. Vehicles enter the site from the westerly side of the building. There's actually an existing loading dock located just to the west of the patio. So vehicles can't access or an opportunity to drive into that area from the west. So vehicles will come along the west side of the building and then to the north of the patio and find parking and will circulate back out along the west part of the property. We're anticipating either putting in bollards. I don't know if from an aesthetic standpoint, if Alex would want to go into something as extreme as Jersey barriers, but just given the circulation of the traffic, vehicles don't have the opportunity to, should any accident occur, taking a direct route into that patio, and a bollard or something similar should probably be sufficient to protect it.
So James, Brian Cummings again. So you'll work with town engineering to figure out exactly what needs to be done from a safety point of view?
And if it is bollards, there'll be space close enough that a vehicle wouldn't be able to drive in between them. It wouldn't be that wide. So that's a detail we could work out with Alex from an aesthetics and also your town engineer to assure that we have the public safety back there.
Well, thank you very much, James. Brian, I'm all set. Thank you.
Andy Bevilacqua with Town Engineer, just to follow up on that. I wasn't really concerned with vehicles at speed coming through there. I'm more concerned with, say a vehicle backing out of a parking space across the way from it and, foot getting stuck on the gas pedal or, those kinds of things, those kinds of, kind of silly mishap type things. So I don't know that you necessarily need Jersey barriers, but I just like to see what you were planning in terms of protecting the public that's out there. That's all. And I'm sure we can work together to work on something. Yep.
So this is Jim Giletti, and I've been there. It's a very nice site, and the patio is pretty big. But Andy kind of hit the nail on the head. The only concern is it's really not flow-through traffic, but people do park directly across from where these people sat. And I sat there out at the outer table, and it just gave me pause because somebody could back into you in theory. They got to go pretty far. But there's got to be some sort of protection, and I'm comfortable that, Andy, you take a look at what that protection is. But there's got to be, something's got to go up there, because right now when I went there, there's nothing. Very comfortable place, kept very nice, got no issues with getting the patio. It's a nice place. But if it's going to be permanent, there's got to be something protecting the potential for cars to go right into where these tables are.
Yeah, Jim, just we will have Andy involved and show him everything that we're planning in terms of that protection. The one thing I would point out, not that, is the depth of the current patio. There's a lot more space. I know what you're saying now when cars pull out. I totally understand the concern. I think there will be a lot more space based on how we're going to build it between the edge, the northern part of the patio and the parking you see above that.
I guess I'm not, so, because I've been there, and the the last table is pretty good out into the parking lot. And if people park directly across from it, it's not that far to go to like.
And what I'm saying is, it's not what we're proposing here is not as deep as what you saw when you were there. This is a smaller footprint, right? So there's more distance. I'm not saying that's okay. I'm just saying it's not going to.
I hear what you're saying, but you're saying you're going to pull the patio back from where it is now, not as far out into the lot?
Correct.
This is Mr. Chairman, Jim Rotunda speaking. The closest point to the parking space is at northerly corner is 45 feet from the back of the parking space.
Yeah, that's not very far. How long is a car?
18 feet.
Yeah, so 2.5 car lengths. I mean, so, you know, the car's going to be parked up against the thing. It's just not that far. So,
did you have any intention of putting any sort of barriers between the vehicles and the?
We did. Andy had already pointed this out to us, and it's a very reasonable request, and we plan to do it.
That's fine.
For sure.
Again, Andy Bevilacqua, they did have notes in their plans to say that they were going to provide something. They just didn't provide any detail of what that was, and that all I'm asking for is I'd just like to see that. So that's all.
Okay, so Vern, this is Teresa Ranciato Villi. So if I understand, if this goes forward, the owners and Mr. Rotunda will get together with our staff and come up with something that will be good for Andy. Is that what I'm understanding?
Correct.
Thank you. You have no problem working with Andy.
This is Alan Fredrickson. Then any potential approval, we would include that as a condition. Correct. The note that's currently on the drawing does say provide bollards or equal for protection from vehicles along north and east side of the screen fence. So yeah, Andy was just looking for exactly how we're going to do that. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Very good. Okay.
Hey, Vern.
Go ahead.
If they're willing to work with staff on that, I'm happy with whatever protection they come up with.
Okay.
Okay.
That was Rich Wilson.
Yep.
Okay, Rich, I got you.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions from the?
Yes, Vern, this is Paul Wyman. I just have a question. Currently, you have that, you said you have an existing patio. Is that on concrete or is it a wood or what?
It's directly on concrete.
Is it going to remain the same surface?
We haven't gotten architects involved or anything like that, but so we haven't decided. We don't know the cost, but I hope not. It gets hot in the middle of the summer, and so we want to look at that. I think it may be as simple as painting the surface a certain color that's not so hot. I mean, that's really our big concern right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm just Paul Wyman again. I'm just trying to get a feel for the difference. Other than it being an executive order, now you want to have this permanent going forward. That's what I'm getting. Okay, so it's really not going to change what the flooring is currently, most likely, other than making them maybe painting it. You're not going to put a wood decking or
that was not the intent. So no.
This is Alan Fredrickson. If I can, I'm up to about $2, but if I can stick in another 2 cents worth, I really appreciate 12% Brewery coming forward with this application. Alex Blank called me to have the foresight to look towards this time when I think the pandemic will be subsiding and the governor's declaration is going to end. And I think it's a great thing to keep what we can of the outdoor seating. And I think it will continue to help restaurants, bars, food service entities. But it has to be done legally. And that's what Alex Blank is trying to do. So on the staff level, we do appreciate that. and I hope that the other outdoor seating installations will come in willingly and with the spirit of working with staff, as Alex Blank seems to have. Thank you.
Okay, very good. You good?
Good.
Good. Okay. Anyone else have any questions? Any questions at all? Okay. Okay, that's are you all set with your comments and from the applicant?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
You all set, Jim?
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Teresa. Move on to
okay, Vern. We are on P21-10.
Right.
Site application of 144 Washington Avenue LLC, applicant and owner, relative to 146 Washington Avenue, 5 Monroe Street, and 8 Blakesley Avenue. Map 73, lots 34, 35, and 32. Plan entitled Proposed Development, 144 Washington Avenue, Route 5, North Haven, Connecticut. Prepared by BL Companies, dated 4/8/21, revised 4/28/21. Scale 1 inch equals 20 feet. CB 20/R12 zoning districts. And let me just remind everybody when they speak, please identify yourselves and give your address.
Okay, is there someone here to represent the applicant?
Mr. Chairman, Dennis Senaviva representing the applicant. I am with the Senaviva Law Firm. With me tonight, Mr. Chairman, and members of the commission are John Mancini, Matt Bruton, and Suze King. All three are employees and engineers with BL Companies who have prepared the plans and will be making the vast majority of the presentation tonight. I also have several members of the applicant and owning LLC who are here to answer any questions that you as a commission might have.
Hey, Dennis, this is Jim Giletti. Can I hold you off for just a second? Let me ask a kind of a technical question. So this is a site plan, right? So there's no public input on this site plan?
Correct.
That's correct. That's my understanding, Jim.
Okay, so here's what my concern is. There, in the application that was presented to us, there were particular types of businesses that are proposed to go in there. Now, that's not the site plan, but there's named businesses that are being told to go in there. That seem to be different than what were there before. When they are going in there, are they going to have to come in front of us with a change of use so that the public will be able to comment about it?
I'm Alan Fredrickson. I'm not completely certain that I understand the question. There are two.
Let me rephrase it. Starbucks, on our application, it says Starbucks.
Yes.
There was no coffee service in that strip mall before.
Correct.
So if Starbucks is coming into what is a slightly different strip mall, it looks 4 sites is what I'm seeing, is that going to have to come and propose a change of use? Because that's not what was in there before.
No, I'm sorry. No, it would not. The change of use is being asked for with the site plan application.
So the public does get to talk then? So
no, a site plan application doesn't have public comment.
On other changes of use, we've let the public talk.
We haven't had it on changes of uses ordinarily. No, only from the applicant or potentially if there was some technical information or something.
There was a change of use that went into this old site for an adult bookstore. You're telling me that we didn't allow public comment at that time?
We did not at all, and that was hard fought. And there were some.
My recollection was that we did. So
we did not. No. And I very rarely would I be as certain as I am speaking to you.
So I have a change of use application in this package for these places now?
No, the change of use requires a site plan according to the regs.
So where's the change of use application?
There isn't one, it's the site plan application. So the site plan application would approve the uses as they are proposed.
So, but two of them, we don't even know what they are, right?
Correct. So the declaration on the change of use is retail for those two spaces. So if someone came in and wanted to put a retail use, we would deal administratively and sign off on pure retail uses. So you have two restaurants, Starbucks and Five Guys, and two unnamed retail uses that would comprise the entire square footage.
Yeah, I'm very concerned that the public's not getting to talk here, but okay. I think that's wrong, but that's fine. That's the question I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jim. Go ahead with Dennis.
Thank you. Again, the property is an assemblage of three parcels. It's 146 Washington Avenue, 5 Monroe Street to the south, and 8 Blakesley Avenue. The combined area is 1.56 acres. The property is located on the eastern side of Washington Avenue. As I'm sure you know, it has direct access to Blakesley to the north, and it has direct access to Monroe Street to the south. Now, the applicant proposes to develop the site with it's approximately 7,000, a little less than 7,000 square foot commercial building. I see the plan going up. Thank you. With 2 food establishments occupying either of the 2 ends, the northerly and southerly end of the proposed building. And as Alan points out in his comments, your staff comments, the Starbucks would be the northernmost occupant. It would have, with this approval, a drive-through window for its patrons. And we're going to talk, the engineers will talk about the queuing length and how the internal traffic operation works. The site does meet your zoning regulations, and so they will address how the site works from an engineering perspective. Before I turn it over to Matt, though, Mr. Chairman, I wanted to point out that we have had the opportunity to review some staff comments. I saw them today, actually, and I know that in terms of those being proposed or offered by both your engineer and land use administrator, as part of our presentation, we will address those comments. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to turn this over to, I believe, to Matt Bruton to present the engineering portion of the application.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, my name is John Mancini, 355 Research Parkway, Meriden, Connecticut, principal at BL. With me is Suze King, another engineer who prepared plans for this site. Matt was listening in for a portion of this, but the timing of our application, and he's going to be popping in and out. But so I'm going to walk through the plan. So Mr. Chair and members of the commission, thank you this evening for taking a review of our site plan. The site is located at the corner of Monroe and Route 5, Washington Avenue. And we also have access to the north to Blakesley. Blakesley Avenue intersects Route 5 at a signalized intersection. Monroe Street is unsignalized. So from a standpoint of access, real quick, we have met with staff pre-application on this application to kind of go over our ideas. We were able to place our driveway on Monroe Street as far off the intersection as possible. That is the best site plan location for that driveway because it provides for opportunity for cars that are pulling into Monroe to be able to navigate and not stop quickly for a site drive. We also show a driveway onto Route 5. There are several curb cuts to our property now. We've consolidated them into one. We know from working with the DOT on this road and many other roads that they own, the chances of us getting a left turn out on this driveway was very, very much not possible. So we didn't propose one. That driveway is restricted. It's a right in, right out, and left in. The left in has a turning pocket to turn out of in the middle of Route 5. Of course, much of our traffic is going to be using the light at Blakesley and coming in to our short frontage driveway that is on Blakesley. That parcel was zoned the same zone, but it was used as a home there. And that's now going to be consolidated as part of this approval on the land records as one lot. So when you come into this site, the access to the queue for the drive-through, Susan, if you can zoom in a little bit on the back there, is on the back side of the site. So, which is really helpful because you can get to this point without really navigating through the front of the site where, like for instance, future tenant D, which has been proposed as a Five Guys, those guys don't have a pickup window, they don't have a drive-through, but we do have patios on these restaurant pads, and restaurant parking will be in front and pedestrians will be walking in front. That's where our handicap accessible spaces are. So we wanted to keep the function of the drive-through toward in the back of the site. That'll also be the way the loading comes through. And so there's some, I'm going to just describe the site plan and then I'll go to some comments that were raised so we can kind of tackle two things at one time. So there's been discussion about the nature of the geometry of the drive-through, and it's really important to just kind of go right at this. So we have a specific tenant. Members of the commission have mentioned names. So in the case of Starbucks, Starbucks these days, they know what their business is. They're 500 feet down the road, but they don't have a drive-through. However, they have, like many of the other quick serve restaurants, they've really perfected their ability to, order in advance and you go in and you pick up your order. So although they anticipate a lot of that, they're also they anticipate relief to that by actually having now a drive-through and the ability to serve their patrons in multiple ways. The typical, their desirable queue for coming or selecting a site is between 11 and 14 car queue total. We meet 11. There was some discussion in one of the comments about trying to flatten out or make the geometry of the drive-through less serpentine. If we do that and we lose car queue, we will most definitely, and the owners, and I think the broker is on the phone as well, we'll lose this tenant. We need to have the 11 car queue, but we have drawn the geometry of this where the minimum radii is a 20-foot radius on the inside. And in the industry standard for folks like McDonald's and Starbucks, that is the desirable radius, minimum radius that they know works for a vehicle. Through the review process and working with Alan and Andy, we did create a bypass, and I do want to talk about the bypass. So the reason for a bypass in a drive-through is predominantly due to you approach the order board and menu board, which is at car vehicle 7, okay? And you, like I have done sometimes, I have forgot my wallet, or it's in my trunk, or it's in my briefcase, and or your purse, whatever, and you need to now get out of line. Or you have such a big order or a complicated order and specialty, and you have to get out of line. So in the case of that, you would pull out of the drive-through, and you would come out and exit out to the full circulation of two-way circulation around the site. You'd go park in a space, and you would be able to, they would come out and bring your order. I believe that the reason why you would have a bypass intent was met here, and the two-way flexibility of a full circulation of driveway around in two-way is really makes the site work very well. If pedestrians want to go into the store, they're separate from the functionality of the drive-through on the backside of the site and where the loading is. We've met all the bulk zoning requirements for this site plan. There was a comment about we had one too many spaces along the Monroe side. We can live with the comment and lose a space and add it to the front and meet all the requirements that we need for that. So it's really important to understand that this plan was vetted with our end users as well. And we had their buy-in when we created this plan. So that sort of describes the layout and the functionality of this plan. We have a variety of other drawings that were submitted, such as a grading and drainage plan, such as a site lighting plan, a landscaping plan. All of those plans have been reviewed, and the town engineer has a few comments that we can and will address. For the most part, we concur and will comply with all the comments that were raised. So, Mr. Chair, I don't know if at this time you want me to go into the comments and just talk about the comments a little, or do you want me to pause at this point?
Well, I think why don't you pause and come back, get the rest of your presentation done, and then come back so, the commission can talk with you back and forth and give and take at that point.
Okay, so the next plan that is shown is a landscape plan. We fully comply with landscaping that's required for the site. There was a comment by Alan that we needed to add a tree in one location, and that we will accommodate that and in fact do that at the ends of that parking that I just described. Suze, if you go to the next plan. Actually, back up to the drainage plan for a second before you go to the lighting plan, because I'll take advantage of this. So one of the comments by Andy was that the position of our water quality treatment system, we were in full compliance of what's required in terms of an overall volume of a first flush. But Andy points out that if we move that system along I'll call it the north side of the two-way aisle by the drive-through, we can benefit from tying in more catch basins into that water quality and exceed the requirements that are needed, minimum requirements. We have no problem with that as a condition of approval, and would show that on our final drawings. Okay, if you can go to the lighting plan. Again, we have a site photogrammatic plan. There was a comment that there was potentially a little bit of a spillover of lighting on this commercial side, and we're bound by two streets and then a residential behind us. We have no problem with that comment, and if there's any minor tweaking to our lighting plan that needs to be done, we can easily accommodate that. Go ahead, Suze. You can go to, have you uploaded the, yes, thank you. So, Mr. Chair, this is a site plan of the floor plan of the building. Again, tenant A is to the left, tenant D is to the far end. Those are the two restaurants. The two uses in the middle are retail. and all of the loading doors and our central utility closet is on the rear side of the site. This is a drawing that shows the elevations of the buildings. You can see that the east side elevation is the rear. The north side is what you're viewing there is the pickup window, as well as the front window in the restaurant on the front side there. The west elevation is the front of the building. There's an undulating ceiling, roof line. The materials are masonry, and the side along Monroe, again, looks like and much it should, a front yard. And this is a more colored view, that being more black and white. Okay, so Mr. Chair, that is the end of our presentation. There was one other comment regarding traffic, and on the phone this evening is one of our traffic engineers as well. But the only comment was that Andy had raised that the preference would be perhaps we can propose some signage so that we could send people to the traffic light and not to exit left on Monroe Street. So, so what we would do is we would do some internal route signing when folks exited the drive-through or got towards the back. So we would encourage them to make a left along the back of the building so that they would come out to Blake's and come out to the light. So we have no problem with adding that signing. And,
okay.
Okay.
Does that conclude it, John?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, just let me open it up to the commission, and I think you'd be the one to answer most of the questions there.
All right, Vern, this is Teresa.
Go ahead, Teresa.
Okay, so I have I guess a question, a concern. We have a driveway coming out of the CVS/Starbucks right across the street from Blakesley, coming directly almost out right where you are coming in and out. Now we have the park further down the street, and now we have the bank that's coming out right there. And the light at Blakesley is not always the best light in the world, where people do back up. So can you just address my concerns on that? And they're not just mine. I've had neighbors, I don't live too far from there, asking me the same questions.
Well, I guess let me try to break down that question. So thank you, Suze. So first of all, I think what I would say about the current situation with the CVS and the Starbucks and that, much like their situation, we are going to be further back on the site, like the CVS driveway is. I'm not exactly sure, you know, the property that probably gets affected mostly by the queue, Teresa, is the bank that went in, because their driveway is closer to the stop bar on Blakesley, you know, on Washington Ave. But we have a long throat to our driveway that comes out on our site plan. So if people have to wait to get into the position to, we have ample room on site to store our traffic, much like CVS does. So, you know, your desire to come out to, you know, when you have these types of developments, is to be able to come out to a light. And that's what we're proposing. So is there a backup at times on Blakesley Ave? Sure, I'm sure there is, but you know, this is still the best place to exit our traffic.
What about concerns about having two driveways directly across from each other?
I mean, that happens, you know, that's the way you want them. You know, you want to have commercial driveways that are aligned, you know, so I don't see a problem with that. Yeah. But it's a good question. I understand. It would be worse if they were offset, because then the turns would be offset and could be interlocking improperly.
Right. And we already have one offset with the bank, which is a little bit of a concern.
Right.
So on Monroe, then you're considering only having a right turn lane. Is that what you're not coming out? You don't want people turning down Monroe?
No. So Teresa, what it was Andy raised a good question, and he said, if there's any way on site that we could make sure that folks are going to the light and not making a left out onto Washington Ave, is there a way to do that? And I'm saying, if that's something that the commission feels strongly, we can propose on-site route signing. You know, often you're in a plaza and it'll say, you know, it'll have an arrow pointing in the direction you want to go, and it'll say, you know, 291 south or 91 north. We can direct people to the light. But to be honest with you, Teresa, they're going to go the way they want to go. You know what I mean? Because it's a public street and there is full access onto Route 5. But if they got to wait to make a left and it's easier to make a left at the light, they're going to figure it out, you know?
So one more question. So, and maybe this is for Andy, I'm not sure. Will the light at Blakesley and Washington be adjusted somehow by the DOT for added traffic if need be?
Well, we are going to be going to the DOT for an encroachment permit. We did do a traffic study, and the amount of traffic, if we were to suggest that the traffic went to Blakesley, would there be a little bit more delay? Probably. But as I said, the delay at peak time will be more or less contained to people exiting our drive, and we have a long throat to queue up on site on. So it's it's not
the delay. I mean, honestly, I come out that way a lot. And what happens is you're sitting there while the light is just constantly green on Washington Avenue.
So the state prioritizes their road, and they don't give high they don't prioritize the town roads. But we have to go to the DOT for the encroachment permit for our driveway. So I have no problem with us asking the DOT about looking at the timing on that light, and we can report that report that back to Andy and let him know how that discussion is going.
Okay. All right, thanks. That's all for now from me.
Okay.
Okay, Teresa. John, just stick by for a second. But John, let me just ask you this: why would not the DOT work with you with the light? I know they're going to be favoriting the state road, but they want to make this thing work as well as anybody. I mean, it's going to happen. So they would possibly make things better by working with you as far as getting the traffic flow through there.
Yes, and Mr. Chair, I agree with you, Vern. We have no problem with asking, and we have no problem with if they ask us, what do you recommend for signal timing changes? We have no problem with providing that information to them. It's just that we have to start, as you know, at the district level, which is Pond Lily, and their traffic engineer there, who is Todd Ingara. So we will start there, and then we can work with DOT traffic if need be. But we have no problem with asking for those signal timing changes.
Sure, and I believe that it'll work out fine as far as there's a great deal of thought and effort put into to make this happen with this exit and entrance over there on Blakesley Avenue.
Suze, can you put the site plan back up?
Okay, why don't let somebody else go ahead and go? Jim or
Could you put the last picture back up, please? Because I had some questions following up where Teresa was.
Yep.
Okay, so my question, where you've got the bank is currently coming out onto Blakesley with an in and an out lane, right? And your in and out lane is going to be immediately adjacent to that, correct?
Yep.
And then there's the driveway for the next house, which will be very close to that. And those 5 lanes are going to be directly across from the in and out going to CVS, right?
Correct.
How's that not going to be chaos? I mean,
Well,
they're all within, like your 4 lanes, the bank and your 2 lanes are right on top of one another.
So we only have a single lane in and a single lane out at that location.
So does the bank.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. And I mean, I don't know if you've, been to that bank, and we have observed it's new.
Right.
I mean, there's not crazy traffic coming out of their driveway, and their driveway traffic is predominantly turning left back onto Blakesley and back to Washington Avenue, unless they're a neighborhood resident who's using that as a credit union and they're going back home. So they're turning right. So the predominant movement is a right in and a left out. Well, that movement is happening not across our driveway. It's happening in front and not affecting the movements to our driveway. So we're saying that so when we line up commercial driveways, if we didn't line up our driveway with the CVS driveway, Andy, being thorough as he is, would say to us, why are you doing an offset intersection across from another commercial drive? You want to align your driveways opposite one another. We've gone through the proper planning and expense to go buy this property that was zoned commercial so that we can have access to the light and line up our driveway opposite to CVS. I mean, that's what you want to do, Jim.
But you just made the argument that the bank doesn't have crazy traffic coming in and out. CVS does have crazy traffic coming in and out.
Right. So, but if they're aligned, then everybody, it's like you come to a 4-way stop and everybody yields the right of way. So if let's just say I'm at Starbucks and I want to go to CVS. Well, the best way to go to CVS is have a driveway that's aligned opposite so I can drive straight across. That's the best way to do it. So if I was offset from there, then I would have to do a quick right and a quick left, or a quick left and a quick right. That's not what you want.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying, but you know what? I hear what you're saying. I think that's a lot of driveways right next to each other. That's it. There's 5 driveways on your side, 5, 2 in, 2 out, you and the bank, and then the guy, whoever lives next door, the person who lives next door. It's just
I got you.
Very close on top of one another. Now, about your traffic study, I read the summary of the traffic study, and a couple things hit me. It says the traffic study has been prepared for a new tenant. I assume only one. Doesn't say the tenants, it says a new tenant. So you assumed the traffic coming out of that tenant, correct?
So
that we're talking about, I don't know.
Yeah.
Your traffic study.
So Pat or Mike, are you guys on the phone?
This is Pat Pablo. Yes, I'm on the phone.
Okay, Pat. Pat, can you just summarize quickly about what you actually studied? You actually put a traffic study together for our development plan, which had the 4 tenants, the 2 retail tenants and the 2 restaurant tenants, correct?
Okay. Pat, do me a favor. Just give your full name and who you're representing. Thanks.
Sure. My name is Pat Pablo, and I am with BL Companies, and I am representing the traffic analysis piece for this particular study.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Pat, can you explain, sorry, John Mancini for the record, can you explain that the study was done based on our tenant roster?
That is correct. My apologies, it might have been a typo. By tenants, we meant all the tenants of the site, which includes all 4 tenants, all 4 purposes.
Okay, so you did a summary of how much traffic you're going to have based on type of tenants.
All of the proposed developments. So in the report itself, you also have a table with trip generation that includes the proposed trips generated by the 4 tenants. So it includes the fast food restaurant with a drive-through window, coffee shop with a drive-through window, and a shopping center or a retail development. And all of these are based on the square footage. And
Okay,
based
so now,
on
wait, let me
IP
just
trip
stop you
generation.
for a second. You said a fast food restaurant with a drive-through window. That's not accurate, right?
That is correct.
Well, yeah,
in order
that's
to
sit-down restaurant.
That is correct. In order to simulate the worst case scenario, which is these days where people do a pickup, you know, like call in and they do a quick pickup. Just to stay conservative, we decided to go simulated with as though it's a drive-through window.
So simulated as so the traffic generation as a drive-through window, and the traffic. So for both the hamburger place and the you call the other one a restaurant, and let me ask. I'll tell you why I'm asking, because I'm hesitant about the drive-through. If it's a Starbucks drive-through or some other entity that is just going to want to have a coffee drive-through, because that's made a difference to us in the past. Now, I don't know that you have a deal with Starbucks, but there have been other like 7-Eleven type places that wanted a drive-through, and we said no. Now, because of the impact on neighbors, the application does not say Starbucks. The Starbucks people say it's not Starbucks. Is it Starbucks?
I was given that it's a coffee shop to do the analysis, and as such, I used the coffee shop land use codes to develop the trip generation for that.
So there's a particular trip. So we don't know what it's going to be as we sit here. We just know it would be. And I'll go back to Alan. So that would mean the only thing that is approved there would be a coffee shop. Is that correct? In Site 1? If this were approved?
No, Alan Frederickson. The only tenant that I see on the drawing that is locked in is, in fact, Starbucks. So Starbucks is the only tenant mentioned by name, but the uses are mentioned by use group. So,
hey, Alan, it's Lou Proto. Can I step in?
Sure.
So I have a deal with Starbucks. I'm the leasing agent for the landlord. It's Lou Proto from the Proto Group, 114 Washington Avenue in North Haven. I'm the leasing agent for the Capassos and the DeLucias that own the property. I have a deal pending with Starbucks right now. The location has been approved for just over 2,000 square feet on the left end with the drive-through. And I also have a deal. We have a lease out with Five Guys on the right end without a drive-through for 2,400 square feet. Those deals are done and agreed upon with the Capassos / the DeLucia families.
Okay.
So those deals are done.
So it's Starbucks. It's not another entity just selling Starbucks coffee.
No, it is Starbucks corporate. We have a deal with them. That's done, Jim.
That's good. Thank you for telling me that.
You're very welcome.
Wondered from the traffic standpoint. I go to a lot of Starbucks. I know what their traffic is.
I've seen you in there a number of times, Jim. I understand.
A bunch of times. And
just a little, just a bunch.
It's not that I want a Starbucks. I just want to know what's going to go here, so we have some idea about the traffic. I don't care.
Understood.
And some things we would not want. All
Understood.
Right, so going back to the traffic study, it says in the study that there's a couple of movements identified with undesirable performance levels. Is that okay? Which movements are those?
So do you want me to go intersection by intersection?
By all means, do that.
Yeah, fine. That'd be great.
All right. So at the intersection of US Route 5, Washington Avenue at Monroe Street, the Monroe Street westbound shared lane between the north left turn through lane and right turn, it's just one lane. That movement becomes undesirable during Saturday and PM timeframes. However, it should be noted it's currently undesirable. So during existing conditions.
Yeah, I got that point. Let me just understand you. So for people coming out Monroe Street through Washington Avenue, taking a left, that is undesirable. And it was already
That is correct.
That's what your point is, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
What's the other one?
The other one is on US Route 5, again, but at the intersection with Commons Plaza and FedEx, so just south of the development, the next signalized intersection.
So where are we?
Yeah, excuse me.
It's right across from FedEx. That's signalized.
I apologize. Right across from where?
FedEx.
Jim, it's down where the Save Right is.
There you go.
The liquor store? Way back there?
At the North Haven Shopping Center, yes. That's what she said.
Yeah, it's going south, Jim, I guess. Okay, I got it now. Excuse me, this is Vern Carlson speaking. I guess we got it right. We're at the North Haven Shopping Center now, are we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
Yeah.
Jim, that's
so
all.
in that particular area, the only location that's unfavorable, and it's existing already, is northbound left. So turning into that shopping plaza. There's existing queues there, and they continue.
Yeah. Okay,
and then,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
And that's true for PM time frame and Saturday midday. And then also on that same intersection, southbound through and right, on Saturdays, they queue up as well.
Okay.
And John Mancini, for the record, when we talk about the word undesirable, it just means that there's a greater delay.
Yeah.
Not like it's an unsafe operational move. It's just a little longer delay.
Now, we hear these all the time.
That is correct.
I get it. I know what A, B, C, D, E, and F is. I know what F means. And F means it's not a whole lot of fun out in the intersection. But on the street was already not a whole lot of fun. What has there been or will there be an impact? The big one I see is Blakesley and Washington Avenue. Does your development have any impact on Blakesley and Washington Avenue from a traffic standpoint?
No, we do not. The overall performance of that particular intersection currently in AM is level of service A. In PM and Saturday, the level of service is B, and they both continue to be at those levels.
Okay, so it won't impact, in your opinion, whatever that service level.
It will not.
Because I will tell you, when you come out of the Starbucks is there now, and you take a right and want to go left back to my office, I got to wait there a long, long time. So it may be acceptable, but it sure isn't acceptable to me.
So I should have chimed in earlier when John was explaining. Part of that reason might be the fact that the entire stretch of Route 5, it's uncoordinated signals by Connecticut DOT, and their cycle lengths are rather long, and the preferred movement is northbound, southbound on Route 5, not the side roads. And because you are located so close to the ramps, the cycle lengths are rather long for those.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
if I go back to the plan, not this one or the picture.
You can, please.
John Mancini for the record. Jim, one other thing to just point out is that obviously Starbucks, once they come to this location, there's going to be less traffic coming out of that CBS drive.
Well,
right?
I'm sure whoever owns that hopes they get somebody else in that gets just as much traffic, but whatever. Whatever it is, I appreciate the comment. So here's my next, and then I'll be done. So I see what your queuing is doing. I'm a little concerned when that queue is full. How do the people coming in from Monroe fight off the people coming in from Blakesley to who goes next into that queue? Do you understand what I'm at?
Yep.
So we're backed up. We got 11 cars in the queue. Somebody's coming in off Monroe. Somebody comes in off Blakesley. What happens?
So John, for the record. So obviously, if that scenario happened, there's going to be some experience by the operator that is going to say, okay, we are going to direct traffic to come around the building to the front, and we will allow the queuing to come from the longer stretch, which is on the Blakesley side. I don't anticipate that that's an issue, but we can propose a sign that says you cannot block the intersection. So what do I mean that, Jim? Is that if the guy came in and he wanted to get into the queue, he can't just hang out there. We'll put a sign there because you got to allow the person to make a left and come along the side of the building, come to the front. I anticipate, because the light is at Blakesley, that most of the queuing is actually going to be coming across the back of the site where we have a lot of storage ability. So that's what we anticipate is going to happen.
Okay, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, hey John, while we're on this, Vern Carlson speaking. Coming out of the Starbucks drive-through, for say, how much traffic do you anticipate coming out, emptying out the front entrance, making a right turn?
Well, I think John Mancini for the record. I think Vern, if anybody if somebody has come from 91, right? So if they're in the morning, right, they're coming from 91. They're obviously going to get off at this interchange because it's a full interchange. When I say this, I mean the exit 12 to the north interchange. So they're going to come down. They're going to make a left at this light. They can't make a left at the driveway you're talking about. And the only way they're going to come down and make a left at Monroe is if they missed all of those turns and they forgot to turn, right? So the movement is going to be come out of the drive-through and make a right there and get into the through queue of that light and get back to the highway. So I believe that people coming off of 91, like a lot of folks do in the morning for that current location, will be making a left in at the light, coming through the drive-through and making a right out and using that right out drive. So that's why that's an important turn. The person that wants to make a left is just going to come back around the site and go out to Blakesley and get into the light at that location because we're going to discourage that left turn off of Monroe Street with some signing, Vern.
Yeah, right. I've been studying this thing pretty well, as you know.
Yeah.
From what I can see, I think that works very nicely for the highway traffic.
Right.
To make the left and the right and whatever to get out of there and get them right back on there. And I think that flow as well. There was a couple other things that if the entrance from Washington Avenue and it was hypothetically moved to the left of the building, just maybe 20 feet, 30 feet, perhaps, more in front of Starbucks. And would it be more encouraged to get the traffic out onto Route 5?
Yeah, so I don't think the shift is going to be a deterrent, but the reason why, Vern, we can't moved to the left is because there is a back-to-back left turn pocket. So at the light at Blakesley is also the fourth leg is to Burger King. So they have a left turn pocket there. So if we slid our driveway, we would be impacting their turning area, you see? So, so even though their queue is not that long, it makes more sense to leave the drive where we are so we can have a pocket to turn out of for our left turns.
Okay, it certainly makes sense to me. I looked at that as well, but I just thought perhaps you could move that up a little bit, but I can see as we're talking, it wouldn't leave a whole lot left for
a pocket. Right?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
So in any event, that was just one of the questions. And one other question I just have here, and I want you to, we're going to work this out later on with when we get down to it. With certainly town engineer and land use, but on that, do you expect much? Is there the turning radius on the right-hand side of the building when you're coming down past Five Guys and you get to the end? There'll be a stop there, of course. Mm-hmm. Now, is that turning radius? Yes, right there. Can you make it into the queuing?
Yeah, because you're turning out of the right side of a two-way driveway, and you're going past and into another lane past the 8-foot island. That maneuver is, there's ample room there for that maneuver to happen.
That is doable without any.
Yes. Yep.
I was looking at that, and that's really the only other thing that I was not concerned about, but that I was looking at for say. And of course, I know you picked up on the island on the right-hand side as you were going down the parking area.
Yep.
I mean, those things are really nothing, but those were the things that I was concerned about. But let me just go back to the commission. I just wanted to get that in there before we get off that. Thank you very much. And go ahead and go back to the commission. And anyone else on the commission, Brian or Richie?
Hey, Vern.
Hey,
Vern, this is Rich Wilson.
Yes, by all means. Go ahead, Rich.
When they made mention about cars that come with large orders or complicated orders, where does that car? So I know, like, if you go to McDonald's, they have you pull over to the side of the driveway, and then one of the workers will bring you your meal. Where would you be getting your food delivered to you if you have one of those complicated breakfast orders?
Yeah. So John Mancini for the record. So Rich, that's a great question. So if you're at car 7, if you can, car 7 is right at that menu board, right? And right. you ordered, I don't know, hold the pickles, hold the lettuce, whatever, sure. Right? And so they don't have that at a coffee shop, but they have a bagel and you don't want butter or whatever on it, right? Or you have a complicated coffee. So you would you'd go into the bypass, you'd escape out of the drive-through, and then you would pull down. And my guess is that the first 3 spaces of the 16 closest to Route 5 at the front side of Starbucks, those would be signed like McDonald's has, let's say, where it says, pick up, 1, 2, 3 lane. That's probably where they would be. We don't have that detail on here, but it's a good question.
So then that car has to back into the line of traffic to exit out?
Well, yeah, he would be parked just like anyone else would be parked. To be honest with you, when you go to places that just allow the car to pull up along the side, that's a little unsafe because you're never sure what's going on with those people.
Yep.
So they really are better off being in a space. So,
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's it, Rich?
For now, yep.
Yep, okay. Brian or Paul?
Yes, I just wanted to make sure. John, I did understand you to say that you had read Andy's comments and you were on board with all of them and willing to work with him. And excuse me?
Yes, yeah, I do. What I wanted to do is just take the time, Brian, and just go down I wanted to talk about a particular comment that Andy raised, but for the most part, we're in agreement with everything.
Okay, thank you, John.
Yeah.
That's all, Vern.
Yeah.
Okay, Rod, I haven't heard from you, or you have anything, Rod?
I do. Yeah, I got a couple questions. On the drive-through there, from what I can tell, once you come out of that, you really have to turn left, right? There, you don't envision being able to turn right and turn around and go up to Blakesley that way, right?
Correct. But as I said, Rod, if you're going back to the highway, which is a lot of this traffic is going to go back to the highway, they're making a quick left and then come to the right turn lane, and they're just turning directly onto Route 5. They don't need to recirculate. That's why it's important to have our curb cut on Route 5.
Okay, thanks. The other question I had, and maybe you're going to talk about this when you talk about Andy's list, but I wanted to just hear at some point what your thoughts or plans are with respect to the infiltration and the hope to capture more of the first inch of rain.
Yep. As I indicated, Rod, earlier, our engineers had calculated, my colleagues had calculated that we had captured what was required. However, Andy's point was, if we place that system in a different spot, we can get and grab more basins to come into it. So Suze has just taken this shape, Rod, and placed it here. That's what we would be doing. So we'd be able to get that basin, and likely that basin along with this basin all into that. So for the most part, almost all of that whole area would be going into that infiltration. And we have no problem with that comment, and we have no problem with sharing the geotechnical information for the rate of infiltration once it's available.
Great, thank you. That's all I have right now.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ron. Paul?
Thanks, Vern. Paul Wyman. No, not really. I have everyone asked the questions already that I had. So
okay, Joe Salamini.
Just
Joe?
One question, Vern.
Yes.
Just from looking at the diagrams and listening to the presentation, it looks like it, but I just want to make sure as you're coming out of the lot or the businesses and you're turning onto Washington Avenue, making that right turn, is that exit onto Washington Avenue going to be like it is, a couple hundred feet down the road where you can only go right, or is it just going to be a sign there?
No, there's going to be a raised island, and it's going to be controlled by not just signing, but also the island.
Okay. That's what it looked like, but I just wanted to make sure because, the post office, they have their sign, no left turn, and you see it every day. People make a left out of there anyway. So,
yeah, that's a great question. And all I'm getting at with this site is, Jim, is that the nice thing is we would have that risk if we didn't have the direct access to our traffic light, but we do. So,
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Is anyone else here on the commission that would have any further questioning at this point?
This is Jim Giletti. Let me just ask about the State Traffic Commission so I understand the way it works.
Yep.
You guys need to ask the state for a curb cut, what we're seeing on the screen right now, right? You don't have that driveway now, and that's what you're going to be asking for. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah, John Mancini. Yeah, so Jim, just to be clarified, we don't have to go to the State Traffic Commission. So who we're going to is we need to get an encroachment permit for our curb cut onto Route 5 from the district office, Pond Lily in New Haven, District 3. We will be working with their construction people, their encroachment permit people, as well as their traffic person, Todd and Gara. There's currently 3 curb cuts. There's some wide curb cuts to this property along here. Those are all getting consolidated into this one restricted curb cut. That's what we have to go to the DOT for. Now, as Pat pointed out, the signal timing for this is all coordinated. It's all interconnected and coordinated. I wasn't aware of that, but she pointed that out to you. What we will also ask is Andy, with Andy's help, because he's the town engineer, we will say, hey, by the way, people are a little frustrated with these side legs. Is there any more time you can give to these town side legs? We have no problem with asking that question. So those are the 2 things we're going to be doing with the DOT.
Okay, so when you say Pond Lilies, because you threw that name out before, Pond Lily is the DOT, that's where you have to go?
Yeah, that's the name of the road they're on in New Haven.
Okay,
that's the Pond Lily office.
And when they are looking at what you are proposing, what do they look at? Do they look at what the impact is on that intersection at Blakesley?
Yeah, they look at everything we provide them, which is the traffic study and our site plan. And that's when that gives us the ability to ask them about the signal timing.
So the encroachment permit is the permit to allow you to come out that driveway?
Correct. Correct. Yep, that's right.
So that's what they'll look at.
Yep.
One other question. There are 2 immediate abutting neighbors. Did you guys ever talk to those people at all?
Me, Jim, personally,
anybody in the team.
I'm not sure. The owners are on the call. I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
The owners.
John, it's Lou Proto. I have not talked to any of the abutters.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Jim.
Hey, Vern, this is Teresa. I have one more.
Sure, go ahead, Teresa.
And I know we talked about the lighting a little bit. What are the hours going to be for the businesses? Pretty much, if you can tell me the ones we know about. Lou.
Teresa, honestly, I don't know the answer to the question. I could find out from Five Guys and Starbucks. I just don't know right now.
Okay,
I'd have to get that information.
Okay, I mean, if they're normal Starbucks hours, nothing's really open, I don't think, past 10 or 11. So my concern is going to be lighting. I know we talked about it a little bit. We're going to have no lighting showing on any of the rear neighbors.
Correct.
Okay.
What I'd like to do is I'd like to be able to talk to both tenants tomorrow and find out exactly what their hours are, and I will get back to I guess Alan and let him know what they are.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the cars are not coming in for the most part through that drive-through line, aiming their headlights at the neighbors there, but that's just a question I have as far as lighting. Okay.
John Mancini, Teresa, I just want to point out one other thing. Can you go to the landscape plan for a second? So good point. So never is a car in the drive-through actually pointing at the residential, their headlights. But in addition, we are doing some substantial buffer plantings in that required buffer yard. So if you can zoom in, I'm pretty sure that those are, I just want to give you the type of tree that is. So it's a TO.
You're reading my mind, John, because that's going to be my next question.
Yeah, that's all right. So the TO is so Abrevieties. So we are, staggering, there's 53 just along that run there, and then an additional 57 along that run. So those, if anybody is like seeing the Abrevieties that's between like the banquet facility up the street and Connex, you can see how big those, I'll call it, that particular type of Abrevieties gets. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Teresa.
John, this is a Vern. The only place, Alan and I were going over this exact same thing just the other day. We were counting the trees up. We counted the trees across the back, and I don't know what was the number we came up with, Alan, you recall? The only place that we saw that there could be any encroachment from light from a vehicle would be when you come in the front entrance and make the left turn by Five Guys in the evening is the only place that your headlights would really flash off the site, which would be across Monroe Street into the parking lot of the building across the corner. That's the only place that we, I mean, I can't show you here from what I'm talking about. When you go in the front and you make that left by Five Guys, and you would be able to, it's the only place on the entire site that could possibly be by any residential area where the lights go on, other than being where they're shaded.
Yeah, if you go to the site plan, I think, John Mancini, I think to describe what Vern is saying is and Sue's showing the movement. You're going to come in, you're going to come and you're going to be running down this aisle. The home that's beyond us is up right in that area. So, but we are buffering that area substantially. I don't anticipate that the parking on the other end, on the exit out to Blakesley, that likely is the most logical places for all their employees to park anyway. So that's going to be low turnover parking there.
Vern, there's 110 arborvitaes proposed in the back. There's a group of 53 on the north and 57 on the south, and there's 7 white spruce in the middle.
Yeah, it looked pretty good when we went over that. It looked very good, actually. But, you know, the people on Monroe Street, there's a few people that have been vocal, very nice people, and that I did speak with. And they were concerned about it. And we certainly did give them some consideration, unknowingly, that we put so many trees right there and on that corner. And they live just down the street a little bit where the lights, I don't think will encroach on them at all, but they are concerned with everything there. But after talking with them and understanding what we're doing over there, what is going on over there, is they were certainly felt much better about it, much more comfortable than they did in the beginning of the conversation. It was no formal. I just happened to run into them at the store in the donut store there, and Bigalicious, and they came over and talked with me in respect to it. But in any event, I think it's been buffered extremely well, and not only that the DeLucia family is very concerned to making this very acceptable to the neighbors. So I don't know if you can do much more, but in any event, that's much about it there. Does anyone else got any questions?
Yeah, this is Jim Giletti. Let me just ask about that buffer, because I've been led down a path before, and I'll explain what I mean. Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of arborvitaes. That looks good. How big will they be when they go in? And the reason I'm asking is we once got the place on Universal Drive where they had to put arborvitaes around the outside, and they were dwarf trees when they put them in. So they're now big, but we're 15 years later. I could not believe it when I saw them. So I didn't look at the plan. How tall will they be when it's first set up? It looks like you got a lot of plants there. How big are they?
John Mancini, 6 foot height minimum to start. That's a pretty beefy.
I agree. That tells me what I want to know. Thank you.
Okay. Jim, anything else at the moment?
No, Jim? Good. I'm good.
Rich?
No, I'm all set there, Vern.
Okay. Brian?
Vern, I'm all set. Thank you.
Sure. Teresa?
I'm perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Paul?
Very good. I'm all set. Thank you.
Rod?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I just have one more question. So the left turn off Washington Avenue, when you're turning in there, it looks to me like it's really only one or two cars when you're driving on Washington Avenue down below and you're turning left to go in. Like you've gotten off 91, right?
Yeah.
And
So
you're
go to the site plan, Suze, please. Yeah, 1 second, Rod. We have the wrong
Sure.
plan up for you, bud. So yeah.
Right. So so I appreciate you're planning on using that so people have that option of turning on in the front there, but really that can only hold one or two cars before there's no more place to wait, right? If the car's coming the other way.
So, but remember though, they're coming down, right? And they're going to first really make a left at the light, right? Because it's traffic, it's a traffic light. So they're going to make a left onto Blakesley and come in
I
that
see.
way, right?
Okay.
So in the event that they miss that, right, or it's backed up and they want to go buy it, they'll come here. And then Armageddon, right? What you just said, Rod, there isn't room for them. They can make a left onto Monroe and come in the back. So there's a lot of flexibility on how they can actually get into this site.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That makes sense.
You got it.
Yeah, this is Vern, and it's definitely right, John. I think that's going to be a main access is coming down Blakely Avenue and turning right into the site and right into the. I mean, that's just a straight line, just straight all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, Vern, we have, our office is in Meriden, and, we're at exit 16. We have several employees that drive by exit 12, get off, get their Starbucks, get a tray of Starbucks, and get back on. That's a big, whether you're going north or south on 91, a lot of people come to that Starbucks.
Hey, excuse me, guys. Everybody who's on here, mute your phones, please. Mute your computer.
Somebody's making an awful lot of noise there, folks.
Yeah.
Teresa, can I jump in? It's Lou Proto.
Yeah, 1 second, go.
Yes, Lou, only if you get your guys to. No, it's not your guys. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay.
Vernie, you good?
Yep, go ahead, Lou.
Starbucks is 5:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. Those are their hours. 5:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. I just tried to call the real estate manager for Five Guys, but he didn't answer. So,
okay.
All right, Teresa.
Yep, very good.
Okay.
Thank you, Teresa.
Yep. You're welcome.
Yes, Vern. Thank you.
You're welcome, Teresa.
Anything else at the moment? Teresa, you good for the moment?
Yes, Vern, I am.
Okay, good enough. Okay. I presume that everybody in the commission is good at the moment here?
Yes, Vern.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Alan?
Yeah, I'm good. Yes, sir.
Andy? Andy?
Yeah, I'm good for now. Sure.
Good to go. Okay, thanks. Hey, John?
Yep.
When it comes, after we get through here this evening or whatever here, providing that this does get approved, I'm gonna ask that you you sit down with when you're going over the changes and tweaking this site plan, which it doesn't look like you'll be doing too much to it, but I would like to include our town engineer and land use administrator on the decision making at that time and agree upon what's going to come up with we want to get the best we can out of this, and two heads are better than one at sometimes, and
yep.
I just be sure that we have everybody in on this. Is that
understood, and we accept that. And I like to take a moment to just walk through the comments so that the commission feels comfortable and Andy and Alan feel comfortable with the way we are thinking about things as well.
Sure enough, we'll get right to that. Just let me get back up a little. We haven't heard anything from Dennis and Aviva for a while. Are you still there, Dennis?
I am. Actually, John was doing a terrific job in answering all the issues. And I think, again, John wants to summarize the changes that are being proposed based upon the comments that came from both Alan and Andy.
Yeah, well, I understand what you're saying, and that's just why I'm talking about that right now, because it may or may not be the only comments, right. But as this thing progresses and we get along, I just want to make sure that everybody's thoughts get into this. This is going to be a high profile shopping center or a strip mall or whatever you may want to call it, but it's, you know, it's going to be very well thought out and very well done. We want to make sure we got the best. So I just want to make sure everybody's agreeable to that.
Yep.
Dennis, is that good with you?
I think that, yeah, that works out very well. Thank you, Vern.
Good enough. John?
Okay, so I'm looking at the review comments and Mr. Chair and members of the commission, you know, we were working, you know, both Andy and Alan had given us some input and we got the comments on Friday afternoon. And so today we were able to go through what we, you know, what we see in terms of the review comments. So page 1 of the review comments, item 1, obviously the first item, the first comment is just stating what it is that the uses are and the square footages are, and that is correct. The second part of comment 1 is we are agreement that we will need to do the lot consolidation will be recorded on the land records. This is to put those 2 lots together. Item number 2, traffic study was performed by BL. We've talked about it. Pat has answered questions. Item 3, we have proposed a bypass lane. I've explained how the bypass lane or the intent of the bypass lane it works, and how we have the bypass lane from vehicle 11 all the way through vehicle 4. And it is our opinion that that really manages the reason for the bypass and why you would have one. One of the things that benefits this site, in our opinion, is to have the full circulation around the development, because for two-way traffic, because we don't just have, so this isn't a single drive-through. So let's think about like across the street. So on the McDonald's, they have their lanes with angled parking, their one-way flow. And therefore, if you're bypassing, you can also use that lane. In our case, we have a single user that has the drive-through, but we also have other users that benefit from the two-way drive aisles that are here on our plan. So we feel that the bypass lane, which we didn't have initially, and until we spoke with Andy and Alan, we feel that the change we made, that we submitted at the end of last week, that's on this plan, and you guys have this plan, does in fact address that issue. The next comment was recommended conditions. Adding notes, number 1, A, yes. B, yes, we will do that. C, yes. D, we'll give you the exact height of the building in the chart. We obviously submitted building plans, so we know that now. We will provide the location of the ground and or mechanical equipment. We must submit landscape material changes if we're going to do anything to land use. I can see why in this case, if we wanted to, as you know, the commission has pointed out, if we wanted to change those arborvitaes to 4 foot high and not 6, then we can't do that, right? So we get that. So all of those, F, G, understood. H, we had a note that said it was 14. It is 15, so that's taken care of. There was a note that said indicate any variances that would be granted on granted by the ZBA. We will look that up, and if there were any variances granted for this site, we'll make sure that we note them. The next item is to revise lighting, eliminate light trespass to the adjacent property. So if there's anywhere where we're exceeding the foot candle requirement at the property line, we will tweak back the LED lighting we've proposed to address that. and that'll be in the final set of plans. We needed to add one 2-inch caliber tree at the end of one of the rows. We will do that. And we needed to remove one of the parking spaces because we had exceeded 16. So on the side where we have 19, we are proposing 16, an island, and then 2. And then in front, we're adding the 1 space where we have the ability to do that. Let's see.
John, this is Alan Fredrickson. There are more locations that require the 2-inch caliper trees.
Yeah, I think it was on both ends of that row. Yeah. Yep, I understand. So it's here and there.
Yes, I think that's it. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Understood. Okay. And then moving down, provide any, the approval is contingent upon DOT approval for traffic and drainage conditions. We understand that. Erosion controls must be inspected by the zoning enforcement officer before any work may commence. We understand that. We will add notes to the plans that talk about this. The property owner will repair and replace any disturbed areas and they be permanently stabilized. We will add notes to the plans for that. Any proposed signage, fencing that might be required by the zoning officer, we'll add a note for that. Submit as-built plans prior to bond release, we'll add a note. Post bond as required, we will coordinate that with the owner and provide that. So those were the planning comments. Now on to the engineering comments. So the first comment is the one I talked about. Andy has indicated that since, the level of services is working well at Blakesley, as Pat has reported, perhaps we can use some route signing to direct people to exit there instead of trying to make a right and then trying to make a left off of Monroe onto Route 5. We have no problem adding that. We need to add a tree at the end of all parking rows. Andy picked up on that as well. And then Andy, on this serpentine driveway alignment, I think, again, reiterating, Andy didn't have the benefit of understanding that we were trying to achieve the minimum of 11 and they're desirable to 11 to 14 car queue. But also at that time, I believe Andy was looking at a set of plans that didn't have our bypass on it from car 14 to 11. If you can put the site plan back up, Suze. So I believe we've addressed that comment, and Andy could speak to that. We talked about the infiltration system and where it should be positioned to better capture the first flush. We talked about that, and we would be showing that to Andy before we submitted final Mylars, and we would be providing any test pit data or geotech information regarding infiltration. We were out there, that exploratory work has been done, and we will provide that with our calculations. We will provide the approval requires DOT approval for the drainage tie-in as well as the new curb cut, understood. And item 7, the current plan shows all driveways through the site as being two-way traffic. And if you can go back to the site plan, and this is what I meant. So like if all we had was a drive-through and we needed to direct, if you can go back one more to, yeah. And we needed to direct our traffic with drive-through, and our traffic around our site was coexisting or merging together. That's not the case here. We have other businesses, and the flexibility of getting to these drives, both to Blakesley and Monroe, with the limited access onto the state, it really helps our development plan to have the two-way drives. And we don't see how there's a real concern having the two-way drives now that we have the bypass from the beginning, car 11 out to 4. The 4 cars that are waiting to the queue that are picking up their order, those cars, there's no reason for them at that point after they've ordered to be coming out of line. So one thing is, in the event that there was a concern to let those guys out as well, the raised island, 2-foot island, concrete island, doesn't have to be raised. We can score that island flush, and we can make it a rumble strip. So in the event, whatever it is, somebody had to get out, we can do that if that's desirable. We just thought that with the two-way flow and the directional flow, the drive-through, it made sense to have that raised. So that's item 7. And then there was a comment about sanitary cleanouts, and if we're missing any at this point in, we will be adding them. So that's where we stand with our. So really, it's just the one item 7 about, and Andy's comment was, where possible, if you can, have one-way flow somewhere, would you consider that? So.
Good, John. Well said. Does that complete?
Yep, that completes our review of the comments, Mr. Carlson.
Okay. Is the commission, anyone from the commission have any further questions or anything to say?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time on Starbucks. Let me ask just a little bit about whether it's Five Guys, hamburger restaurant, whatever we're talking about. And when we did the parking calculations, how many seats would there be inside that restaurant? Ballpark, 20, 50, 100.
I don't,
Hey, Jim, it's Louis Proto.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's about 20. I can get the exact answer for you.
I'm just curious how many, like at its peak time, which I assume is around lunchtime, but I don't know. How many spaces do they need, and where are the people? I just know people love to park in front of places, and there's not a lot out in front of this. And there's 4 sites there. So is there enough on that side?
Yeah, they were more concerned about outside seating versus inside seating.
And where would that be?
Johnny, I think it's in the back right corner and the front right corner, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Exactly right. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So, again, I can get you the exact number of seats once I get you their opening and closing time. But again, they were not so much concerned about inside seating. It was outside. But Jim, I can defer to that once I hear back from them.
Is the outside seating, wait a minute, is the outside seating shown on a plan somewhere?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Front and back.
Can you just show it to me, wherever that, whichever?
Johnny?
Yep. So, Jim, this is a patio area here that's around 250 square feet.
Where are you?
Front, go ahead, Suze, if you can circle the 2 areas.
Those 2?
Yep. That brick pattern.
So one right on the corner and the other one right behind the building?
Yep. And those patio areas are separated by a green, landscaping off the curb, and then they're bound by a railing, a fence.
And what kind of, what will be in there? What kind of seating? Like benches?
Oh, just tables of 2, tables of 4.
Tables of 2 and tables of 4. It's not a lot, but they don't have a drive up. They have a walk up window where you can order and walk up to the window and get the food.
And stay outside the whole time?
Exactly. There's not too many tables inside. I think 20 may be a lot.
Yeah.
But once I get that information, I'll confirm it with you.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Okay, thank you.
Not a problem. You got
it. Jim, you all set?
Yes.
Okay, good. Rich?
Yeah, only because we talked about that the bar on State Street. So is that a good safety rail around the dining area outside?
So John Mancini, Rich, I understood the comment there that you were discussing. You know, obviously the speeds are slow here, but we do have backing out vehicles. So if there was a need to add some bollards along that area in both locations, we want safety as well. So we can work with Alan and Andy on making sure that if bollards are needed, we can add them.
Okay, thank you.
We have a raised curb there. So a little different situation because we have a raised curb, we have landscaping, and we have this rail. So we've really defined where we are. Whereas in that case, it's placing tables on pavement that might be painted, right, to help with the heat, but it's not separated by anything and it's not elevated or raised.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Is that it, Rich?
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Okay, Teresa. Teresa.
I'm all set, Vern.
Okay, sure enough. How about you, Brian?
Vern, I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay. Paul?
All set, Vern. Thank you.
Rod?
All set, Vern. Thanks.
Yep. Joe?
All set. Thank you.
Okay. Very good. Now, listen, John, I think your explanation of the site plan was very well presented, and I think you did a nice job. I think the whole team did a nice job as far as explaining every bit of it as far as that part goes. And I think by the time you get this thing put together, I think it's going to be a very nice site.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Vern, do you mind repeating that? I'm going to go down and get my wife so she can hear that.
Well,
yeah,
I'm
Vern,
just kidding.
Vern gets like, it's a little late now. Vern gets a little
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Okay. But in any event, if there's any more input in this, I'd like to have it right now. If not, we're just going to walk away from this thing.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say, Andy Bevilacqua here. I am not good with the serpentine driveway, even with the bypass lane in it. I mean, I would not drive in that driveway. I drive a full-size pickup truck. I would not drive in that driveway. I just think it's too curvy. I'm not hearing any concerns from the commission. If the commission doesn't have any concerns with it, then we'll let the comment go. That's perfectly fine with me.
Andy, 1 second. I was thinking about exactly what you're talking about. And, you know, he was talking when John was explaining taking out some curbing and putting in, just putting a rumble strip in. And I was thinking exactly what you're talking about. It may be too short of a turn. Which was one of the things I was concerned about, that maybe the curbing should come out there. And when they're working with you, or your folks are going to be working together at this thing to get your ideas together, you know.
No. He's saying much more than that, Vern. Not work it out. And I need him.
Well, that's how this opinion is going to go, Jim.
Well, but Andy's okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, everyone speak at one time. So is Jim speaking now?
Yep.
Okay. So Andy, no, not just ignoring what you tell me exactly what it is that you see as a problem. And if you see it as a problem, I can tell you I'm going to see it as a problem. So tell me what you're thinking. As I saw the comment, I heard his answers. What is your response to what he's saying? Is it a problem or is it not a problem?
I still think that those turning radiuses are too tight to be able to realistically get larger vehicles in and out of there. That's my concern. That was my concern from the very start. And honestly, the comment that I had about the converting from two-way traffic to one-way traffic is a potential way to help to address that issue.
So
I'm willing to sit down with them and go through it, work with them, and maybe there's some other alternatives that could be evaluated here. But
But if we're going to do other alternatives, I want to see the other alternatives. But let me first understand what you're saying. I get you're saying those things are too tight. How would you fix it?
Oh, I'm not really sure. I mean, one way would be potentially, maybe come across parallel the back of the building up at the very top of the that area to the south of that driveway that runs across the whole back of the site. Come straight across that with one turn that turns down into the drive-through. I mean, so in other words, those parking spaces that they have across the back, that loading area, run one single driveway along that straight through with a curve that turns into the drive-through at the window. That's just an option. I mean, just a thought, but I understand their concern and their issue when it comes down to.
Somebody has to mute your computer now or your phone.
Suze, that's not what he's saying.
I understand their concern when it comes to the number of vehicles they have.
Well, hold on, Andy. People are not going to be able to hear you. Is that B&L? Mute your computer.
Teresa, I'm trying to find it.
I'm here by myself, Teresa, so I don't know.
No, I know. I just meant if you had a phone.
You could hear someone's TV.
I'm alone, so I don't know.
Might have stopped. Okay, thanks. No.
So Andy, I think the question is this is Lou Proto. I'm sorry. I think the question needs to be addressed by John, but I can assure you, in my conversations with Starbucks, they would like at least 14 cars to stack. Their minimum is 11, and if it goes below 11, we're going to have a problem with them, where they won't approve the location.
And I'm certainly not sitting here saying that, this whole development should be shot down because of this issue. All I'm saying is that I'd like to see, at least some evaluation. What other ways can we do this? How else can we make this work?
Listen, if you have Andy, if you have comments for John and Suze and Matt, I suggest that you address them. But I think the issue is that if once we get below 11 cars, we're dead in the water.
Understood.
So, which is fine. As long as John feels that it could work and you guys can feel it work together, then I'm fine. It's good.
Yeah. So Mr. Chair, if I can just try to understand what.
Okay, wait. Identify yourself for the record. I'm sorry.
John Mancini with BL Company. So
you gotta get this background people off here, Al, somehow. If you can.
So Andy, so one thing, just because we do a lot of Starbucks work for them, we work corporately for them. So they have an absolute requirement that if you did a 15-foot radius or an 18-foot radius, they wouldn't like it. You have to have a minimum of a 20-foot radius for all of their, what they call their internal radii, right? So their tightest maneuvers. So we have a 20-foot radius only in one spot there on the inside along the back of their building. Again, we're trying to accomplish the 11-car queue. So if you oriented this where it was a single turn, the length of our queue storage reduces, right? One of the benefits of having the wiggled curve is that you're adding more length to your storage, right? So the issue really isn't and they, as an end user, obviously drive-throughs are pretty important to them. They as an end user have looked at this and they're comfortable. And Suze is just messing around, with a size car. And if we went straight across, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're not getting to the 11 in that way. If we came further up, like maybe like through where the loading is or over there, the problem now is it's going to be hard to actually turn into this, right? So now everybody's got to come and turn into the Monroe side to try to get into this drive-through, And so it's gonna be difficult to make that maneuver. So the way it's teed up 90 to that back aisle, it allows for everyone to get into that drive-through. So that's why it was drawn this way. But I have no problem, Mr. Chair, to when we can go to Alan and Andy, sit with them, and what I'll do is run auto turn, and we'll show the entire path of the car making it through, using the bigger vehicle, and show that path. But we need to get our 11 car queue, and that's how we get it, so.
Yeah, and like I said, I certainly am not in a position where I want to see this development shot down over something like this.
Okay.
All I'm asking is let's sit down together, take a look at it. If there's some other things that could be done that make it a little bit better, I'd prefer that. That's all.
That sounds very reasonable, John.
John, Andy, that's exactly what I'm proposing to do here, is to make it for sure that everyone's going to sit at count and make this site as best as it can be and make it to fit.
All right.
I agree, Mr. Chair.
But this is Jim Giletti. So how are we're gonna vote on a path, not knowing that that's what it's going to be?
But Mr. Chair, if I can, John Mancini, let's break this down, Jim. We're talking about the drive-through storage.
I get it.
Okay, you have a bunch of engineers and planners sitting around, and we're saying we're going to make it the best we can make it. I don't see how that really is a significant change to what you're approving. We're saying it might be.
With that concept, I disagree with that comment. I think that's exactly what we're approving. It is not for you, and it's not for Andy, and it's not. It's in front of us, and you give it this whole thing because we get our input on it. And I don't know how it could completely change. Andy's saying that this doesn't work that well. Maybe you'll convince him that it will, but I'm not going to vote on something that I don't see what it's going to look like. That's for me. I wouldn't do that. So I don't see what he's going to look like.
We're talking about the last 80 feet of the drive-through might have a slightly different shape, and that's going to be a substantial change to this site plan. I'm not sure I understand that, to be honest with you, Jim.
Okay, fair enough. But then I don't understand why we just blew right by Andy's comment like it didn't matter. It did matter, and then he said it mattered. So I would like to see that it fixed, or him convinced that you can't fix it. I don't want to stop this project either.
Okay.
Also, don't want to vote some. I don't like things coming in front of me until we'll make adjustments later on that we don't have input into.
Yeah, this is Teresa Ranciato-Vieli. Lou, I mean, I think you understand that puts the commission in a really difficult spot if our town engineer is telling us that he doesn't like something on our plan, and you've dealt with us a long time. So how do you expect
Teresa, I think one of the issues is that we've had a staff meeting with Alan and John Mancini and Dennis and his team. I think about a week or a week and a half ago. We received Andy's comments on Friday evening, and we respect those comments. One of the issues is that Andy's comment was if we change the drive-through to make it straight instead of serpentine. And Andy, please tell me if I'm wrong. One of the issues is that if we change the drive-through to not be serpentine and be straight, it's possible, and I talked to John about this late this afternoon, that we can eliminate one or two cars. The problem is that if we fall below 11 cars with Starbucks, they're going to terminate, which is fine. And I get it. It's a business decision for the Capassos and the DeLucias as the landlords of this property. But again, I'm going to defer to Andy and John Mancini. I'm not an engineer. And I've been doing this for quite a long time, over 32 years. I'm going to defer to the experts to tell me if it works or it doesn't work. And we've both done enough business in the town of North Haven to know what works and doesn't work. And Alan as well. I mean, we've had numerous conversations with Alan about this project, and Vern. So I'm going to defer to Alan and John. Not Alan. I'm sorry, Andy, and have them tell us what can physically possibly work. So
can I?
So go ahead, John.
If I may, John Mancini for the record. So just a question for Andy. This isn't about the what do we need to do to tweak it? You heard where we are with this concern about the queuing, and I did hear you say, you want to make this project work. So to Mr. Galetti's concern, what I'm saying, Andy, is maybe you can speak up and say, hey, look, Jim, when I sit down with BL's team and we're looking at this, the spirit of what you're approving doesn't change. We're still entering the drive-through in the same location, and it might be a smoother alignment.
I'm agreeing.
So I don't believe, and Dennis, if you want to weigh in, I don't believe we're changing what you guys want or see on this plan.
And the change might simply be add another foot to the lanes. I mean,
it might be, but whatever, or maybe it's not. But you guys have a serpentine lane there. I get it. You need 11 spaces. All I'm saying is it's up to us to approve the site. Okay, it is not up to Andy. It's not up to Alan. It's not up to your experts. It's up to us. You give us all this information and we've got to decide about it. If Andy tells me that he's got a concern and you guys can work it out, and it sounds to me like you can work it out, all I'm saying is I'd like to see how it gets worked out. I'm not a big guy, give it and let him do everything administratively. That's just not how I operate.
Understood.
I like to see what we're going to decide. You guys seem to be in two different places. I get it. You're saying that you need the serpentine to get 11 spaces. I get it. If Andy says he's withdrawn his objection, then okay, then that's fine. But he didn't say that.
So, Mr. Galetti, can I just say, because I was going to say that I'm looking at this and I realize we can do, so I believe we can have two 12-foot lanes, because I'm looking, Susan, if you can zoom in, because we have 14 feet where we need 8 at the end of our parking. So we have room to take and make the 10-foot bypass lane, so we can make these two lanes, 11 and 11, or 12 and 11. We can add 2 feet to this whole opening, because we can shift those 4 spaces over because we have 14 feet on the other end. So, and if we did that, would that be better for you?
Yeah, I think that's a significant improvement to what we're talking about here.
Okay.
So I don't understand that significant improvement in that. I don't even understand what that meant. You see now, because you guys can envision this and I can't. So significant.
Yeah, so all we're talking about at this point is just widening up the existing lanes. He's got one 10-foot lane, one 11-foot lane.
Right.
If we can get to 2 12-foot lanes, I think it works a lot better.
A lot better, so that that's acceptable to you.
I would be satisfied with that.
And you guys.
So yeah, this is Teresa. So that would satisfy your concerns.
So that's just getting confusing. Don't worry. They know.
Hey, I understand it too. I'm trying to clarify.
Yeah. No, I know.
Not be condescending.
Oh, no. I'm saying what I didn't, Teresa. I'm sorry, John Mancini. I was just saying Susan's trying to move all of the curbing and it was getting confusing, but I understand that.
Thank you. I get a little edgy.
This is Alan Fredrickson.
Yeah.
Andy, if there was a condition of approval that stated clearly they needed to get 2 12-foot lanes, would that be sufficient?
I think I would be good with that, yes.
Okay, so if a motion to approve included that provision, that would make the unusual serpentine configuration work in your eyes sufficiently?
Right. Yeah, I would be better with that, yes.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Jim.
Yes, Vern.
Yeah, Jim, does that help you?
It helps.
Please.
Thanks, Jim.
Well,
Thanks, Jim.
I don't know why we're in such a rush not to get this. I mean, because this is all coming. I know you guys have talked about this for a long time. This is the first time we've seen it. So I guess everybody said, okay, we need. I like to see things done. You know, not we're going to go and put bollards in later, but I like to see things done. So I'm going to have some reservations anyway. But at least then we've satisfied. When my town engineer says he's got a concern, that's a problem for me. When the fire chief says he's got a concern, big problem for me. So you just told me that it solves that problem. Okay? So we got stuff to talk about.
Okay, good enough. Well, Andy, things sound much better, I think, now that we have a little bit more understanding. So tell me that, Teresa, have you any comments at the moment?
What?
I said, you have any comments at the moment?
No, I am through with my comments. Thank you very much.
Okay. How about Brian and
Yeah, Vern, I do. I just want to say this, just ask this question. Does this resolve Andy's comment number 7? Because that's what the question was about.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, yes, we widen up those lanes, and I think that takes care of it. You need more room to get vehicles in and out of there. That's my concern. That's been my concern from the start.
Thank you, Andy. I'm all set, Vern.
Thank you, Brian. Andy, I mean, you think that that's certainly a doable situation with you?
Sure. I would like the opportunity to sit down with them and
well, that's exactly what I want you to do.
Mm-hmm.
But
if that's what we're talking about in terms of changes, in terms of magnitude of changes, I think I'm going to be comfortable with that. So
good.
And if it turns out that I'm not, and it's a bigger deal, then we'll talk about it.
Well, I thought I made that clear in the beginning of this presentation that we were all going to talk. You, the engineer, you being the engineer, and John being the engineer on the other side here, that you were going to get together and get this thing, anything that was stumbling block that we came worked out. You know, we got down to, on this entire site, one situation where it happened to be the drive-through, which you're telling me that we can work out. I don't have a problem with that. And sounds like Jim is easing up a little bit. A little bit. What about you, John? Okay?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we thank all of you guys for spending the extra time on this evening. And Andy, we will provide a plan to Andy that shows the two 12-foot lanes, and we'll sit down either on a Zoom call or as needed in person, if that's possible.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure that everybody understands that, you know, you're going to work this thing out as a team here on this drive-through so we get it perfect. And I want Jim to feel comfortable. I know what Jim is talking about. I know I've been working with Jim for a long time here, and I know how particular he is. And I want him to feel comfortable as well as I do. But in any event, as long as we understand one another at this point. Has anyone else got any questions? Apparently not. Have you anything left, John?
No, we're all set. Dennis, I don't know if you have any wrap up.
No, I that was the key. I mean, that was the key issue. And and I think my only comment is the chairman. I understand where Commissioner Giletti is coming from. I think he makes a valid point. Unfortunately, sometimes there are applications that come before you that have certain time considerations and certain conditions that make us push a little bit harder than we might normally. But I'm thankful that your town engineer is on the call, on the Zoom call. And I think given the situation as explained by BL and that concern expressed by Andy, I think that, the plan will look very, very similar to what it is, except you'll see the lanes will be wider, which should accommodate larger vehicles. And I think BL was already comfortable that it accommodated them. This will make your town engineer comfortable too, and I think that's what he's indicating. So I appreciate all the concerns, and I understand all of them. I think as Lou Proto's pointed out, there's just certain factors, including time, that are important to the applicant. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Anyone else have anything to say in respect to this application?
Sure. Hey, Vern, this is Rich Wilson.
Yes, Rick, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm glad that between the applicant and Andy, they could work out that driveway to be a better finished product. And yeah, I'm very happy with that change to the application. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rich. Anyone else have any comments to close this up? Paul?
No, I'm fine. I think the 12-foot lanes would help.
Okay.
So, and if Andy's good with it, I'm good with it. So.
Okay, in any event, that's it. We're going to move forward. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The give and take went fine, and we'll call it an evening on this one. We close the site plan hearing for the moment. Okay, Teresa. What happened?
All right, Vern. I guess, are we going on to extensions at this point?
No.
No, we have the site plan for 33 Defco Park Road.
I am so sorry. Apparently, I just wanted to keep moving along. No, what do we have? I must be looking at the wrong.
Number 6, Teresa. P 21-11 site plan.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll read that in, but that is the one that I'm recusing myself. Okay.
Just read it.
Sorry, P21-11 site plan application of Centec Engineering applicant, Parker Hannafin Corporation owner, map 95, lot 21, relative to 33 Defco Park Road, plan entitled property located at number 33 Defco Park Road, North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by Criscolo Engineering LLC, dated 3/30/2021, scale 1 inch equals 30 feet, IL 80 zoning district.
Mr. Chairman, before you get started, we're not going to be able to have Paul Wyman sit on this. He's possibly actually in a butter in terms of his business down on Defco Park Road. So Paul's gonna step out as well, and we'll just have Joe Salamini sit. Okay.
Joe, is that good with you, Joe?
Yeah, Vern, that's no problem.
Okay, thank you. Is there someone here to speak up for the applicant?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Jim Preddy, Criscolo Engineering, representing Parker Hannafin on this application. I'm going to share my screen so I can quickly go over what it is we're doing here. So this is the site plan. It's just under a 5-acre site along Defco Park Road. Existing facility noted here, a little more than 55,000 square feet. The proposal is to add in the rear of the building this addition, as I'm noting here, that's just shy of 7,400 square feet with some minor driveway changes here to some radii and some island changes here to move the sidewalk away from the building a little, because we are moving the gas meter and electric service. There is an existing cooling tower and pump house in this area here that will get moved over here next to the driveway. Argon gas storage tanks that will get moved to the back of the building. We are also, part of this, in the front area here, adding some additional parking, mimicking what was added here a few years ago. There was a parking area that was added here with some turf stone pavers that allow infiltration from the runoff of that area. And we are mimicking and doing the same thing here. And a short little retaining wall to, because of the grades that will match the existing retaining wall that goes down along this side of the parking currently. There is at this time no plans for any new site lighting. The site lighting that exists will remain. I did drive through the site today. The pole lights are a little bit older, but they are the shoebox type shielded fixtures. We are also adding, which is actually currently deficient on the site, trees at the islands at the ends of the parking, which is indicated here. These circles also along here, and a couple on this side and the islands. The site also has a number of metal storage containers along this side here that will be able to remove once this addition is in place, and they'll be able to get rid of those containers. We are asking for a waiver of the sidewalk here. There was the last application, the sidewalk was waived, and in this Wharton Brook Industrial Park, typically folks have waived the sidewalks in this whole development when things have come up. We did receive comments Friday from zoning and engineering. I could quickly, I think they're all pretty minor in nature. I could quickly go over them. Let's see, I have, before we get to that, this is the elevation showing, just to show the scale of the addition. This is the view from the back. So this is the new addition, roughly the same height as the existing building. So it kind of blends right in. And here's looking at it from the side. Again, the height is very close to the existing building, and this is the show the scale of the addition. Let's see, staff comments. Again, 7,400 square foot addition. Minor site modifications. This at last month's zoning board of appeals meeting, we did receive approval to modify the existing non-conforming building. And I say non-conforming because this front corner of the building is just shy of the 75 feet. Otherwise, it does conform, but I think some facade work had been done here, and we're just short of the 75 feet. On the other end of the building, it meets the 75 feet. So we did receive that approval from the ZBA last month. Again, we were asking for a waiver of sidewalks. The recommended conditions of approval, note for site plan approval. I've already mentioned the outdoor storage containers will go away. The ZBA approval we just got, to my knowledge, is the only one that exists. Sidewalk again. I did mention the lighting. Standard notes will be added to the plan regarding soil and erosion controls and maintaining those erosion controls. We can add a plan regarding signage and fencing. It's noted that we know we have to post a bond, and the as-bilt's required for the release. The engineering comments, the permit required for the sanitary sewer extension. This is the existing sewer here. We are extending the sewer line down to the back and into the new building. Addition of cleanouts every 75 feet. It amounts to basically 2 cleanouts that we have to add. Location of the stockpile, we can add to the plan. The plan is, at this point right now, is the stockpile material from the I mean, it's very limited excavation, but the stockpile material in this area here, my understanding is because of an existing ELUR plan that any material leaving the site has to be tested before it goes. So it would be just a temporary stockpile area until it can be tested, and then it will be taken off site. New catch basin. So this comment is about we are moving because of the driveway changes. We are moving catch basins like this one here from this location to this location over the existing pipe. We are providing underground concrete galleys for the roof water storage of the new addition. And then what this pipe here connecting into this catch basin would be a high level overflow so that when if these fill up, it does have a place to like an emergency overflow so it doesn't kind of blow out the pavement. The only, so this question, please indicate where the existing drainage system outfall. I can't actually answer that question at this point because we don't have all of the inverts. It does appear that the existing system goes out to the road. There's a 24-inch pipe that goes down Defco Park Road, but we do have to verify some inverts. Again, we weren't modifying the existing drainage system except for moving a couple of structures, so we weren't overly concerned about it at the time, but it is something we could chase down so we could, Andy can have that information. The leaching galley system, again, was for the proposed addition. The additional infiltration capacity for the front parking area, we are providing turf stone pavers with stone infill and with the stone base. The first inch of runoff over this new paved area is about 615 cubic feet. We think that with the turf stone pavers, the stone infill and the stone base, we're actually providing about 900 cubic feet, assuming 40% voids in the stone. So I think we've gotten that covered, and I could add notes to the plan to quantify that for the town engineer. And then the last item was indicate the location of proposed anti-tracking pad. Now this site is paved already around the building. This is all paved. So, any activity back here would have all this pavement to knock the dirt off the tires before it gets out to the road. What we will do though is for this new parking area here, at this end, we would add an anti-tracking pad just to make sure that nothing from this area that's so close to the road would actually track. And I believe that was it for the comments. I think it's a pretty simple application. Again, we're just adding this 7,400 square feet to the rear of the building. You won't even see it from the road. And with that, I would take any questions from the commission.
Yeah, Jim, you're putting 7,400 feet on the building?
Yeah, that addition, it's actually 7,366 square feet.
Mm-hmm. 66. What is actually going into that 7,366?
So I'll share. It's a plating room. This is part of their process. So there's some, there's catwalks and things and tanks and stuff in here. So there's a plating room and there's a small blasting room over here. Obviously some fire rated walls up against the existing building, and then the lab to test the plating materials.
Well, there's certainly a lot of activity in there anyway. Yeah, Jim, it's Jim, Teresa, and Brian, any questions?
Hey, Vern.
Yes.
I have a question. There was a note here about noise. I guess there's a couple of residential homes in the back. And is there much noise that comes out of this building? And what would be the requirements on how much noise comes out?
Rich, Alan Frederickson, there's a noise ordinance which is complex. I don't know, it's about 10, 12 pages long. Sure. That is apart from the zoning regulations. I did make a note on this. I really don't know. I went out a couple of times to try and hear the equipment fire, and it seemed to not while I was there. As long as they comply with the noise ordinance, I don't think there's a particular issue.
Alan, this is Jim Giletti. Why are you answering for the applicant? Why isn't the applicant answering?
I'm sorry, I thought he asked me.
Oh, did he?
No. I don't know. I guess maybe I just threw that question out. I wasn't trying to. I wasn't trying to. I guess I should ask again. How much noise coming out of his factory?
I think Alan was just trying to answer the ordinance part of the question. Jason, are you listening? Could you speak to what was actually causing the noise?
Yeah, sure. Jim, Jason Tabak, Petra Construction Corporation, 98 Reveshi Drive, North Haven, Connecticut. We're not, the owner specifically walked the site to try to identify the noise these past few weeks since we've had the comments from the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting, which is actually where the comment originated. And the owner could not identify the noise that the neighbor to the south was concerned about. However, our design engineers are familiar with the noise ordinance in place in the town of North Haven, and they have assured us that any new equipment being designed as part of the addition project will meet, not exceed the requirements of the ordinance. I'm not sure how we work to identify what the concern of the neighbor is or if he's present this evening. But that was the information that was conveyed to us recently by the owner. We've not observed any excessive noise that we feel. We're not professionals in acoustics, but we've not heard any significant noises along the southern boundary of the project.
This is Vern Carlson speaking. Has there been any other complaints about noises there from this, in this particular area, I should say?
Vern, Alan Frederickson, I wouldn't really know. I don't think so. Any noise complaint, the noise ordinance is enforced by the police department.
Right.
I only have knowledge of one issue that was raised at the ZBA. That's all. Mm-hmm. And again, when I went out there, I could not determine what was generating that noise. I didn't hear any particular noise, but
well, I mean, they'll have to go out there and listen for it, I presume, to find out if they're in compliance or not. If there is a noise, I haven't been there at all.
I guess I was just trying, with my comment, I was trying to make them aware of the fact that there is an ordinance and that's what governs, if that makes any sense.
Well, the fact of the matter is, if there's a noise that's over the decibel meter, that what we have, and it doesn't have to deal with it. I have no clue what it is.
I think that's true.
I don't know how to fix it.
Jim Preddy again, and as Jason explained, all the new equipment that's associated with the addition will meet the noise ordinance.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is anyone else got any questions? Anyone got any questions? Teresa? Brian? Jim?
I'm all set, Vern. Brian?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay, very good. Paul? Nobody? Okay, very good. Thank you so much, Jim.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Just like that.
Okay, Vern, so do you want to go on now to the extension?
Yep, let's just move forward to that. Teresa, thank you.
You're welcome.
Go, yeah, going to, yeah. Was it extensions we're going to?
Yeah, there's one.
Wait a minute. Hold on 1 second, Teresa. Let me catch up.
Okay.
You just want to go into deliberations and take them as they come?
No change of use. Yeah, we can't, Teresa, we can go into deliberation, I think.
If you want to go into deliberations now, we'll do that.
Yeah, let's do that. Can I get a motion?
I'm not the boss of you. Okay.
Hold on, this is Brian Cummings. I'll make a motion to go into deliberations.
Okay, I have a motion. Can I have a second?
I'll second it, Brian.
Okay.
Rich Wilson seconds it.
Yes.
You have to say your name, guys.
Sorry about that.
All in favor? You're going to call the roll, Teresa?
Sure. All in favor of going into deliberations signify by saying aye. Vern Carlson?
Aye.
Richard Wilson?
Aye.
James Gilletti?
Aye.
Brian Cummings?
Aye.
Joseph Salamini?
Aye.
Rod Williams?
Aye.
Paul Wyman?
Aye.
Myself, Teresa Ranciato Vili, aye.
Okay.
Okay, Vern.
So we just go back up to the first item, which is the P2113. Can I get a motion for a positive referral for the A24, our first item?
Before we make a motion, this is Jim Gilletti. I'm not sitting on this.
Okay, Jim.
Okay, so who was sitting? Paul Wyman? Okay.
Paul Wyman was
Yes,
sitting?
I am. Yes.
Yep.
All right. All right, this is Teresa Ranciato Vili. I'll make a motion to move this
Positive
forward.
Okay.
Positive referral.
Thank you, Teresa. Can I get a second?
Paul Wyman, I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Teresa, you'll take that, please.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Vern Carlson?
Aye.
Richard Wilson?
Aye.
Brian Cummings?
Aye.
Paul Wyman?
Aye.
Teresa Ranciato Vili, aye.
Okay.
The motion passes.
Okay, thank you, Teresa. Okay, next one will be item 2P 21-07. This is the 120 half-mile road. There's the three-lot subdivision on Half-Mile Road. We have been talking about the sight line and the trees and whatever. Jim, would you get in on this?
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve it, but without the waiver of sidewalks. I think that we need the sidewalks. They definitely, and I understand the argument about sidewalks, but of course I don't. But I think where there's a sightline issue, the sidewalks can only help in improving that sightline issue. And I think additionally with my motion is improve it without the waiver of sidewalks, and that they have to sit down with Andy about moving those trees back out of the sightline. So that's my motion.
Very good. I have a motion from Jim. I couldn't agree with you more, Jim. I have a motion from Jim with those conditions, with the keeping the sidewalks in and pulling the trees back, working with Andy in respect to that. I have a motion. Can I get a second?
This is Rich Wilson. I'll make a second on that motion.
Okay, thank you, Rich. Teresa?
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Vern Carlson?
Aye.
Richard Wilson?
Aye.
James Gilletti?
Aye.
Brian Cummings?
Aye.
And Teresa Ranciato Vili, aye. Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next we have up there is item 4, which is, I don't have that here. I'll be with you in a second. 4, which is P 2109. It is State Street, the outside eating with the umbrellas and the tables, 37 by 79. I guess a little bit smaller than that as it worked out to be. And we talked about putting ballards up. Jim, I know you had some concerns about this, and Brian did as well. Jim, you want to pick it up?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure where I want to come down on this because I'm not sure I want to make the motion. This is, again, I got no problem with this project. I got no problem with the thing. I'd like to see the bollards. I see we're going to do them, and it's not a question of not trusting our staff. I trust our staff, but I like to see what we're voting on. And I'm all in favor of them having their outside thing. I think it's a well-maintained place. Frankly, glad to see what we're going to do, because I'm telling you, I sat there and I was at one of the tables and I didn't think I was at risk, but I've been at another restaurant out of the town where you're at a table and cars are driving by. It's a little scary. So I'd like to see what they're going to put up for bollards before we voted on it, but I don't know. I'm not going to make the motion anyway.
I got you. Okay.
I can be convinced one way or the other.
I wanted your input. In respect to that, but
I can be convinced either way.
I don't know. We have a town engineer, Andy. Andy, no Andy.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, sir. Hey, on this here, I understand Jim's concerned about having some ballards around there, or more. But I certainly agree with them. They said they were going to park on the other side of the lot, which was going to be 45 feet away. But still in all, as you pointed out, somebody gets a throttle stuck on the car, and here goes 2 tables and 8 people, per se. But in any event, that would be the worst of it. What would you suggest as far as the ballards went and how to protect that?
I mean, there's a lot of different ways that it could be done. Absolutely. I mean, you could put a series of bollards up. You could put a reinforced fence up. You could put Jersey barriers up. There's a lot of different ways that could be done. And my only comment was they said they were going to provide protection, and that's great. That's what we need. But they didn't provide any detail of what that protection was. And I just like to be able to see that, before they get out there and start building it. That's all.
But that's my point too. I'd like to see it too. I mean, and I don't think they need a Jersey barrier. I don't think, but they need something. My input on it is and this is where it was the other one. I don't like voting on something and not knowing what the final product is. Is it overwhelming to me? No, but and I don't want to hold them up either. But I would like to know what we're doing. And they know we wanted to know what they're doing. So, I'm not trying to stop them, but they could have convinced me with, some places have the big flower pots, those big heavy flower pots, that at least the guy hits that before he hits a table, Yeah,
I understand. I agree with you. But the fact is, would you feel comfortable with this here to continue this for a month till we get a little more information as to what's going on here?
I would just like to see it. I like to see what I'm voting on. That's kind of
I understand.
where I'm coming from. I don't know. What's the rest of the board think? I don't know.
Okay, well, let's see what Alan's got to say. Maybe fill us in on something. Alan?
Alan Frederickson, I'm just going to comment that their note says provide bollards or equal for protection. So I guess I could construe that to mean they're going to provide bollards. If they provide sufficient bollards, that seemed to be their number one choice. Can it be approved potentially with a condition that just said to provide bollard details and spacing?
Well, they said they're going to provide it.
But what does that mean? Wait, bollards mean a whole bunch of different things. They're going to put the yellow poles that sit up in front of propane tanks?
Well, a bollard's a steel pole that goes in the ground. It doesn't have to be yellow, and it could be totally hidden, you know, within something. But as long as the steel, the structural component, correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, you're looking for what it would be made of, how far it would go into the ground, how far it would stick up.
Just the standard detail. It shows how it's going to be built. That's all.
Yeah. So, okay. And so
I don't know.
Well, what we're getting down to is whatever the standard detail is, I'd like to see it too. But where's the rest of us?
Okay, good enough. Teresa, let me put the load on you. All right. Brian.
Vern, I'm satisfied with what Andy's saying about the bollards and that they're going to do something there. They've already said they're going to do something. I don't see holding it up for that at this time.
Are you satisfied with Andy, you know, agreeing to the ballots with enough protection?
I certainly am. Thank you.
Okay. Rich?
Yeah.
Rich?
I'm okay with that.
Okay. Teresa?
Yeah, Vern, I'm sorry, I was on mute.
That's okay.
You know, this one I'm a little, I mean, I guess I would have liked to see it as well, because, you know, we're talking about actual, you know, people being close to cars. And I think we're going to maybe be seeing more of this as they come out and, you know, try to work with what we've had for the pandemic. So it might be a good idea to be able to see this.
Okay. Jim, I'm back to you now. Do you think you want to see it? You know, we heard what the rest of the commission says.
My answer is yeah, I'd like to see it.
Okay.
It doesn't look, they're up and running anyway. I don't see what to do.
They are. Okay.
Come back next month to say what they're going to do. I don't really care what it is. I just like to see what it is.
Okay. Jim, I'd like to have a motion to continue to next month to get some more information.
Yeah, then I'll make a motion. We continue the deliberations till next month.
Teresa Ranciato Vili, I will second.
Okay. Teresa?
Roll call. All in favor of continuing to next month's meeting, signify by saying aye. Vern Carlson?
Aye.
Rich Wilson?
Aye.
Brian Cummings?
Aye.
James Giletti?
Aye.
Teresa Ranciato Vili? Aye. Motion passes to continue to next month.
Okay, very good. With that, I am back. What the heck are you with my? Just bear with me 1 second, folks. I'll set my paperwork down. I don't know where the heck it is. Oh, I got it. Okay. That was the outside eating. Okay. Next would be P2109. Now this is a little something different. We had
you want number 10.
I'm sorry?
You want P2110.
Okay. I had the wrong 10 instead of 9.
Yes, P2110, yeah.
It's application number P2110, sure. Yes. 146 Washington Avenue, 5 Monroe.
Okay. Okay. Well, you know, we talked about this and went through the situation here very thoroughly. It looks like the site is pretty well designed. And we came across one little stumbling block on the drive-through, which finally we got down to a point where they said they're going to widen it out, and Andy said it would work fine with it being widened, and he could go with that without any problem. So I would think that we should be able to get this through, and you know, would certainly conditions were that the applicant and our staff work together before they put the final, not only just for the drive-through, but for the entire site, because it is a very important site. and we got to consider the people on Monroe Street, which is very important. But I think they did a good job explaining the entire site to me in any event. Can I hear what the rest of the commission has to say? Starting with anyone you'd like. Brian.
Well, Vern, I'll do this. I'll make the motion to approve P2110 with the comments that you've made that regarding the driveway, the lanes being widened, as we discussed.
Okay. Well, you modify that motion just a little bit. Want to hold that motion for a second, Brian?
Sure.
Okay. Hold the motion and go on to Teresa or Jim.
Well, let me go because I'm clearly the one who
I know, right, and I know you're
clearly the one who had most of the issue.
Yes,
I'm not comfortable deciding on this tonight, but I'm okay if the rest of the board is. So be it. I want to see this developed as much as other people want to see developed. I think it's an important spot in town. I think it's a good project. I have to tell you, I've got serious misgivings about the driveways on both Monroe and Blakesley. I hear what they're saying. I think the driveway on Blakesley presents particular problems. You know, there'll be 5 driveways, no, 1 at the bank, 2 at this site, 1 next door, and 2 across the street, all emptying out onto Blakesley. I think it's going to cause headaches. That being said, I'm not opposed to it. I'm trying to wrap my head around all of it. And much like I did with the bollards, I don't like voting on something and saying, okay, we'll see how Andy and them work it out. I like to see it. And I vote on something that I can see. And I like handing it over to Alan and Andy and saying, okay, let's approve it and let them do it. So that's not the way I operate, not what I prefer. If that's where the other members are, so be it. But I'm not personally ready to vote on it. But if we do, we do.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Rich?
Yeah, I was okay with them changing that driveway, and if they are willing to work with staff on it, I'm okay with that. So
you're willing to, if they work together, if staff and the applicant works together and get things the way they should be, and
yes,
you'll vote on it tonight. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what Jim is saying, but I think we finished up tonight understanding what's going to happen. So.
Okay, good enough. Thank you. Teresa, yep. Help me out. Teresa.
I'm not in the habit of helping you out.
Teresa.
I like the fact that the applicant has worked very hard on getting this, to where I think it's not an easy site with a drive-through. I appreciate the lighting. I most appreciate the arborvitae. I do want to approve it. Usually I want to see, just like I just said on the previous site, I really do want to see what it's going to look like. But in this case, I guess I'm not as worried because there's cars and other cars and not cars that might hit people. So, well, I wish I had a little more time on it. I do trust Andy to address it. So, that's where I am, but I'd just like to have applicants maybe understand that usually 1 month is not enough for us most of the time.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Teresa. Well, in any event, I think that, it's been the entire site. I was very skeptical, to be honest with you, because it looked a bit clustered to me. But they did explain it away to me, and they made it very clear to me to what's going on there. And I thought that they put a lot of effort into it. And I think it's going to work. And I think it's going to work fine. I had my mind made up when I started talking with them, listening to them tonight, that I feel that I can put my faith into Andy and to Alan and to the applicant, as far as that part goes, to work together to make this thing happen the way we will be pleased with it. So I am ready to ask for an approval as they present this to us with the conditions that the work together, our town staff and the applicant work together to get the drive-through worked out the way our town engineer feels comfortable with it. And I don't think there's any other conditions besides that, is there? If anybody would like to add to it before I make it the motion. Teresa?
Well, I'm sorry, I just have a reminder that adding some bollards at the outdoor seating was something that was offered by John Mancini.
Yeah, okay. Well, very good. We'll make that a condition. I don't think we can need to make that as a condition of approval because Andy is going to make that to happen. So anyways, we'll make it a part of the condition of approval. So that would be the motion. The motion would be to approve, with the staff working with the applicant to achieve the proper drive-through and the ballards that we had spoken about.
Vern, this is Brian. I made the initial motion to approve, and I will again amend my motion to what you've just discussed as far as the approval of this.
Okay, so can I get a second to that motion?
This is Rich Wilson. I'll second that, Vern.
Okay, that was a weak second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Teresa?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Vern Carlson?
Aye.
Richard Wilson?
Aye.
James Gilletti?
Nay.
Brian Cummings?
Aye.
Teresa Ranciano Vili? Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you all very much. Okay. That is a good job. Hallelujah. Okay, which one are we on to now? I skipped over here. You got my train of thought gone entirely. I'll say we're on P21-11. This is Defco Park. Jim, Teresa, you're not.
Wait, Vern. Yes, no, Vern. I am recused on this, but I'll run the vote. But I'm not voting on this. So I think that who was sitting for me?
Paul, I believe.
Paul.
Okay. All right.
No, I'm not. No, it's Joe.
I had to recuse myself.
Yeah, Joe Salamini.
Okay, Joe's sitting. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So this is Jim Gilletti. I'll make a motion that we approve the site plan and in contrary to my better judgment to give them the waiver of sidewalks, because this is one of those areas where actually we do give the waiver of sidewalks. So I'll make a motion to approve it with the waiver.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, this is Brian Cummings. I will second Jim's motion.
Okay. Teresa?
Okay, so there's a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Vern Carlson?
Aye.
Richard Wilson?
Aye.
James Gilletti?
Aye.
Brian Cummings?
Aye.
Joseph Salamini?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we're down to bond releases. Andy?
You want to do the extension, Mr. Chairman?
I don't have any extension. Do you? Isn't any on my?
I do.
Well, I don't have it. So.
It's on the agenda, Vern.
We've got the at-home applications P20-09 and P20-09A. There's a letter in the package. They're on the agenda. And just in...
Okay.
He found.
That was my comments, Jim.
No problem.
Thank you. All right.
I'll make a motion that we give them the extension to Home Goods or whatever the name of the store is.
Yeah, what was that? What number was that or whatever? This was at home?
Yeah.
Yes,
P2009 and P2009A were the app numbers. They're looking for both 6-month extensions to give them a year to get through everything they've got to get through. They've actually fulfilled most of the requirements, and they're through OSTA.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very good.
There. This is Jim Gilletti. I made the motion to give them the extension for 6 months.
Yep. Okay. I'll second it.
Okay. Let's see. There is a motion and a second on the extension. Everyone in favor signify by saying aye. Vern Carlson?
Aye.
Rich Wilson?
Aye.
Jim Gilletti?
Sorry, aye.
Brian Cummings?
Aye.
Teresa Ranciano Vili, aye. Motion passes. Extension is granted.
Okay, thank you. We're on to bonds. Are we right? Am I in the right spot now?
Yes.
Okay, we're on the bond. Andy?
All right. Well, let's start with the first one, which is 828 Thompson Street. That's Summer Wind development. The way we left it at the last meeting, that the developer and the homeowners association were going to work together, and they were going to contact me. We're going to go out and take a look at it. I never got any calls. I never got any contact. I never got any requests to take a look at anything. So that did not happen. There is a letter which should be in your packet from the homeowners association, kind of stating some of that, and they've requested that the bond continue to be on hold. So I really have nothing more to offer to you in terms of that process. Nothing was accomplished with it.
You know, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was on the developer to get in touch with those people and then get in touch with Andy and see.
I think you're exactly right.
That's the way I took it. Was I wasn't going to take the lead on it.
Me
I was
too.
Be there as a support.
I'm not criticizing Andy. I think it was on the developer. He didn't do it. I'll make a motion. We continue to bond the next month and see if he gets it done now.
Okay.
This is Teresa Ranciano Vili. I'll second that motion.
Okay, Teresa, will you call the roll?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of continuing the bond to next month, signify by saying aye. Vern Carlson?
Aye.
Rich Wilson?
Aye.
James Gilletti?
Aye.
Brian Cummings?
Aye.
Teresa Ranciano Vili, aye. Passes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next bond, P20-29, which is 39A Upper State Street. I'm not sure that that's the right application number. The bond release that we're looking to release is the old Rupley bond that was being held for the prior approval. Not sure what the planning and zoning number on that is. Might be in my bond.
Well, it says 39A Upper State, P29.
No, I'm sorry. The number is wrong. That's a typo. That
08-20, I believe.
Yeah, 08-20.
It reads correctly on Andy's form that you have in your package. Yes, P0820.
But the bottom line on this one is because we approved the new subdivision and we've accepted the bond on that, and we have received the Mylar filing for it, that the prior approved bond no longer is in effect. It doesn't really have any teeth in it anymore. So there's no point in holding it at this point since we have a replacement bond. So
okay, I'll move we approve the release of the bond for whatever that was called.
0820.
0820.
Thank you. You have a motion to
Mr. Chairman, I'll second Jim's motion.
Okay. Teresa?
We have a motion and a second to release the bond. All in favor signify by saying aye on P08-20. Vern Carlson?
Aye.
Rich Wilson?
Aye.
James Gilletti?
Aye.
Brian Cummings?
Aye.
Teresa Ranciano Vili votes aye. This passes.
Okay, very good.
Okay, so the next one, 224 Quinnipiac, that's the DB Mart. So what I'm representing in the bond release is that everything was constructed as required. All the plantings that we asked for were put in. I honestly, I waited a little while just to make sure that with the spring weather that the trees started to get green, which they did, and everything looks in decent shape out there.
So let me just say this, because I was very interested in this, and the neighbors were very interested in this, and I did not realize this bond was up. And Andy, it's not that I'm not taking your word for it, but I'd like to move that we continue this for a month, because I was concerned too that the plantings that they did would survive, thrive, and I was really worried that that was going to happen. So I'd like to get another month under our belt, and I'd like the opportunity to go look at it before we approve the release of the bond.
I'm going to motion to.
You guys can vote any way you want, but I'd like to move it, to continue it for a month. Let me take a look at it.
I have a motion to continue it for a month. I have a second.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Teresa.
Okay, so for P18-97 bond release, there's been a motion and a second to continue this bond release, to not be released, to not entertain it till next month. All in favor signify by saying aye. Vern Carlson?
Aye.
I'm sorry, Rich Wilson?
Aye.
Jim Gilletti?
Aye.
Brian Cummings?
Aye.
Teresa Ranciato Vili votes aye. This passes and will be continued to next month. We'll hear it again.
Okay, and the last one we have up for bond release is 158 Washington, right next door to the development that we talked about earlier. This is the new bank building. This is another one I held up for a month because they didn't have a lawn in there. Since then, I think they must have sodded it because it's beautiful now. Yeah. And nice and green out there. So everything was constructed in accordance with the approval, and I'm comfortable in the bond release, $7,500.
Mr. Chairman, this is Brian Cummings. I'll make the motion to release the bond, and the lawn does look nice. It must have been sodded. It came over overnight. It came over. So.
Okay, the motion to release the bond. Can I get a second?
I'll second that, Vern.
Okay. Teresa?
Okay, there's been a motion and a second on P20-08 to release the bond. All in favor signify by saying aye. Vern Carlson?
Aye.
Rich Wilson?
Aye.
James Gilletti?
Aye.
Brian Cummings?
Aye.
Teresa Ranciato Vili votes aye. This passes.
Thank you. Okay, can we get a motion to approve the minutes for April 5, 2021?
This is Jim Gilletti. I'll make a motion to approve the April minutes.
Okay, can I have a motion? Can I get a second?
I'll second that motion for the minutes.
Okay.
Rich Wilson.
Teresa?
There's been a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye. Vern Carlson?
Aye.
Rich Wilson?
Aye.
James Gilletti?
Aye.
Brian Cummings?
Aye.
Teresa Ranciato Vili says aye as well. Motion passes to approve the minutes.
Is there anything else that the board would like to discuss the commission before we adjourn? And motion to adjourn. Lisa.
Well,
Vern, I'm gonna just say this, and I'm gonna say it again, and I want to talk about.
I promise.
I want to talk about zoning enforcement. I want to talk about over the limit renters. I want to talk about Airbnbs. I want a meeting to be set up for that.
Okay. I will promise you.
Let me just echo that. I mean, there's a CEO report, or ZEO report, I'm sorry. And we always run out of time to talk about it. We got to talk about enforcement. People care about it. They're troubled by it in this town. Things are happening and we're not addressing it, and we need to address it. And we can't address it at the end of one of these meetings, because every one of these meetings is now going till 11 o'clock, unless you stop it at 10. So I don't see any other way to do it other than have another meeting.
Okay, well, we can do that, Jim. Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn, Vern. This is Rich Wilson.
Can I get a second to adjourn? Come on, folks, we don't be here all night. I'm waiting.
Vern, this is Brian Cummings. I'll second that motion.
I'm just waiting to see who else will do it.
Teresa.
I'm just motion. There's been a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Vern Carlson.
Aye.
Richard Wilson.
Aye.
James Gilletti.
Aye.
Brian Cummings.
Aye.
Lisa Ranciano-Vialli votes aye. So there has been the motion approved to adjourn.
We're adjourned. Just a reminder, we are meeting a special meeting in regards to the Slate School on Tuesday, the 18th. Unless you'd like to continue now and we can hear from all the public on that.
Tell them to call now.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, I know that we're adjourned. Can I ask a question or should I wait to ask this? I just have a question, and maybe Vern and Alan can answer this. For out-of-town residents, I mean, and there, when I heard that there's 100 people who want to speak in favor, I understand the kids go to the school, but is there any way for us to shorten that list?
Yeah.
And I don't know legally if there is, and you know what I'm saying? It just doesn't.
No, we can't do it because I did the math.
I agree.
I did the math, folks, and I tell you, it won't work. Even if they took 5 minutes, it's impossible.
Well, I get it. But on top of that, you're presuming that everybody was out of town. If you look at all the letters, they're from all over the place.
I know it. They're everywhere.
A lot of people in town that wrote letters in favor of it and that were at that
really
meeting.
should be heard.
I think we're best off just trying to stress that repeating information over and over is not helpful. To be brief and to the point.
That's all you can do. I agree.
Okay. I mean, to keep us there for 4 hours again to listen to all of the people who support it, and then to do another meeting for 4 hours to hear all the people.
Teresa, I'm gonna tell you that it's gonna be from 7 to 10. It's over. At 10,
yeah, but I get it's a strategy.
I want to get your beauty sleep.
Yeah.
What are you saying, Vern?
All right, that's enough for me. I'm leaving.
What about me?
I was looking at that last month. There were 144 people at that.
Yeah, that's a lot of people, a lot of interest in that. Listen, we got to give that a lot of good hard consideration. I'll tell you that.
Did we set a record? Was that?
I don't know.
Wow, I bet we did. Hey, wait, one more thing. Are we going to go into in-person meetings this summer? Has anyone? I mean, they're lifting May 19th, right?
No, Teresa, I did try to check on that, and they did not give me a decide.
They don't know yet.
It was.
I suspect we will.
Well, it was a very weak one that I remember. It's kind
but I mean, who gives us permission? I mean, once the state lifts it.
Well, we can't. I mean, I gotta go.
But there is some unity that's required on the part of the town. Yeah. When I approached Mike Fried about this prior, he said, what we do for one commission to a large extent, we have to do for all of the commissions. We want the opportunity.
Board of Finance is meeting in person.
I'm sorry?
Board of Finance is meeting in person.
I was not aware of that, but unquestionably, we can pursue it.
I'm just asking.
We don't have a definitive answer. So.
Is it different because we have a public hearing component? Like, does finance have public hearings, or is it a set roster of people every time?
I don't know that, Rob.
Yeah, I don't either, but they do have public comment, though. I don't
they do.
Handle it, but they do take public comment.
Yes, they do. But I didn't know they were doing that, to be honest with you.
Yeah. All right. I mean, just
look into it.
It's all over the place. I was talking to a judge today, and they're talking about they still haven't opened up for trials, and they're talking about maybe at the end of June, maybe.
Oh.
So
I just want everybody to wear pants when that happens.
All right. Good night.
Thank you all. Good night, all.
All right.
Take
care. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the Town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.